It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
Mixed Martial Arts Hour is back in your life on this Monday, July 24th, 2023. Hello again, everyone. I sure hope you're doing well. Hope you had a lovely weekend. It's a beautiful summer Monday afternoon here in New York City. UFC London has come and gone. We have a lot to discuss on today's program. I had a lovely weekend. Thanks for asking. I spent my weekend in Boston. What a lovely city. I was just scoping it out prior to the big UFC 292 card on August 19th. So there's a lot of buzz in the air. I just wanted to, they sent me over there to check out the scene, see if everything was okay, ready to go. No, in reality, I was there en route to picking up my boys from sleepaway camp, and they're back, and I'm so happy, and they've learned a lot. And they talked to me about things like Riz. They asked me about Riz, Frank. They're 11 and 9. Could you believe such a thing?
That's crazy.
I told them that, on my show, they call me Ariel Rizwani. So there's a reason why you know about these things. It's sort of by osmosis. I can't tell if that was a fake laugh or a real laugh.
That was I push a button and it does a laugh track.
In any event, so great to have them back. The hug, the reunion. Any parent out there who is picking up their kid from sleepaway camp, they know what I'm talking about. It's a beautiful feeling. It's nice to have the family back. It's nice to be reunited. And a couple days off to Las Vegas for Spence Crawford. Or is it Crawford Spence? I've heard it both ways. I think it's Spence Crawford because he has more belts. In any event, I'm looking forward to that. We'll be working for Showtime, TNT Sports. Also, UFC 291 Fight Week. I mean, there's a lot going on, Frankie. There's a lot happening. So we got a lot to discuss, of course, coming off of UFC London part, I don't know, fourth one since the pandemic. Actually would have been the fifth. Remember, there was supposed to be that September 2021 card, and it was filled with British fighters, but then they did it at the Apex. So technically, this is the third fight night, one pay-per-view. It has come and gone. Lots to discuss coming off of it. As always, we are presented by our good friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Yes, they are the friends of the program, and we urge you all to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and let them know we sent you. How? Put in the code the MMA Hour. That's the best way to let them know. We appreciate your support, their support them because they support us. Now, back into the show, we'll see how we did. Unfortunately, this might be one of the only times where I was the weak link, and there's a sad story attached to all of that, but we'll recap it all, talk about some news and notes. A few things have happened since we last spoke, in particular, the Abu Dhabi card coming together, and as first reported on this program back in April after the Miami pay-per-view by Chael Sonnen, not by me, it is in fact going to be Paulo Costa against Khamzat Chimaev in Abu Dhabi on October the 21st. And the main event is in fact going to be Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title. And I told you all I had a feeling that it would be Charles Oliveira. Not to say that he was negotiating in public, but it did sort of feel like enough time between July and October for a guy who wasn't hurt that they would figure this out. And so that leads one to believe that next for Volkanovski would be Ilya Topuria, perhaps back into the year, but there's still a lot of slots to figure out. So stay tuned for all of that. That was probably the biggest news that happened since we last spoke. Prior to that, we're going to be joined by Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller, if I could buy stock in a pro wrestler right now, a young up-and-coming pro wrestler who's only been on the main roster for less than 3 months, I'm buying stock in Grayson Waller, the pride of Australia, a veteran of the Survivor Australia brand show series. He's unbelievable on the mic. When I was in London for Money in the Bank, he went toe-to-toe with John Cena and was fantastic in doing so. But why do I like him in particular? I like him because he's a massive MMA fan. This is the guy who I met in LA prior to getting called up to the main roster, who was with NXT, who told me that he has studied Chael Sonnen tapes to develop his style on the mic. He's a big Volkanovski fan. Obviously, he follows the sport. He actually competes in boxing trunks. Great guy. Met him. Like him a lot. Great personality. Very good on the microphone. Want to talk to him a bit about his career, about the shoey. He's big on the shoey. A little Volk action, a little Australian MMA action, perhaps some Izzy talk, some MMA fandom.
Can you
Shout
get
out
that?
New York Rick. If anyone can guess what he wrote to me, you get a prize. If you write to me on Twitter right now, what in fact New York Rick slacked me in this moment, you will get a prize. What's that prize? I will retweet you. Remember when people used to do that?
Yeah.
If you get
Now
this
it's gonna
right.
be re-X you.
Oh, we're going there. Someone said I spoke about Twitter way too much on the last episode, or way too soon, or something like that. So I was trying to avoid it. Still not really quite sure. Later on, we like to get our social media news from New York Rick. He tells us what's what. He lets us know if we should be overreacting, if we should be upset, all that stuff. So we'll get his take. You may have already asked. Have you asked him already?
Oh yeah, it's been the talk of the town.
Anyway, Grayson Waller is going to join us. Part of that, we're going to be joined by Lerone Murphy, the Miracle. Had a nice win on Saturday. One of several UK-born fighters who won. And in fact, he won on his birthday. He is now 32, born in 1991. Unbelievable. He won on his birthday. He defeated Josh Culibao in impressive fashion, won via unanimous decision. Judges had it 30-26 for him. Almost finished Culibao in the third round. One judge 30-27. It was never in doubt. Solid performance by Lerone Murphy. We'll talk to him, and of course, we will talk to the star of the show, who we have many thoughts on. The man who returned 364 days since his devastating knee injury. The one and only, the pride of Manchester, the great Tommy Aspinall, who returned to action in brilliant fashion. A little bit late. I thought you were ready on the button. A lot of people told me, Frank, that it's now automatic. They hear his name, they think of us. They think of that chant.
As it should be.
Yeah. So what a win for him against Marcin Tybura. I reached out to him yesterday, said, hey, you got some time for us? He said, of course I have some time for you guys. You guys made this fight. And I was like, look, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but appreciate you saying that. So big win, 73 seconds for Tommy Aspinall. More thoughts on him in a moment. Prior to that, we'll be joined by Paul Craig, who looked fantastic in his middleweight debut, won via TKO in the second round against Andre Muniz. I never really thought of Paul Craig as a potential light heavyweight, made the move, looked great, and the face-off was great, the fight was great, everything about it was great. What a big win for the Pride of Scotland. Paul Craig will join us at about 1:45 Eastern. So stay tuned for all of that. But let us talk a little bit about Tom Aspinall, because I remember I was actually in Boston last summer doing the exact same trip en route to picking up my kids when he fought Curtis Blades. And I remember that feeling like this was, to me, look, every injury is sad. Every injury that comes out of the blue, especially, seconds into a fight, is sad, is heartbreaking. You don't want to see any fight end that way, especially not someone, with such promise, with such a high ceiling, fighting at home. The fight doesn't even get going. 15 seconds, it's over. He loses to Curtis Blades. And it was like, man, this is a bummer. It was such a sad way to end what was a pretty good card. Patty had the big win. Molly had the big win. A bunch of other British fighters had big wins. And it just ended like a womp womp. And you wondered what that would mean for him. And I would write to him from time to time, and it seemed like he was very down. He's talked about it since then, was very down, even for a moment, thought about just walking away from a sport that he's been competing in martial arts in some way, shape, or form since he was 8. And here he is almost at the very top of the game, and he gets this devastating injury. But then we start to learn more about the injury, and we talk to people like Phil DeFries, who tell us the knee used to lock up on him and it was giving him problems, and he should have had the surgery, well before he had it last year, but he kept getting another fight, and he thought that he could get by, and he was able to overcome the pain and discomfort, and he was just on this treadmill, and it would just keep going and going and going, and this forced him to get the surgery and take the break. And so you hear that and you're like, all right, maybe there's a blessing here. And then he talked about how it got dark, but then it got really good for him and he felt like he needed the break. And you hear all these things and you wonder, okay, like what is this all going to mean? What is this all going to translate into? You see him show up on fight week, tremendous shape, fit, buff, cut. He's going up against Tybura, who also looked, to his credit, fit, maybe the fittest we've ever seen, Marcin Tybura. But, to me, Aspinall was on a different level, and this was the perfect comeback fight. Don't need to jump right into the deep end. Perfect comeback fight. Tybura, very solid, top 10 heavyweight. I think he's top 10. I kind of view him as one. Has had a nice run as of late. Perfect way to come back. Put him back in the same spot, in the same arena, same headlining act, all that and more, almost exactly 1 year to the day. It was perfect. Everything was perfect. But you do wonder how he's going to respond. How did he respond? He looked unbelievable. He looked just as good, if not better, than the guy that we had been talking about for the past several years leading up to the injury. The mix of Cain Velasquez and Frank Mir, that's what I always think about when I see him fight. Quick, strong, finisher, great on his feet, great on the ground. He's got it all. He absolutely has it all. And he was great on the mic. He owned the moment. It was picture perfect. As depressing and as heartbreaking last summer was, this was as exhilarating and exciting to see. Delighted for Tom. I think he's one of the true good guys in the game. I really do enjoy him. I like his self-deprecating personality, and he seems to be a guy who's happy to surround himself with his family, with his father. It's a nice way to end this story, which started last year. But now I feel like he has graduated from the London spot. He has graduated from these London shows. And quite frankly, I think the UFC needs to start looking elsewhere. And Dave Shaw, who's their executive, who's in charge of this region, spoke about that at the post-fight press conference. And he's 100% right. They need to start looking at whether it's Scotland or Ireland or other places within England, Manchester, Newcastle. It'd be great if they could go back to Liverpool. Those places need some love as well. It's hard to keep going back to London, especially with those high prices. But Aspinall in particular shouldn't just be a European fighter anymore. He shouldn't just be an English fighter anymore. He needs a big fight on a big stage. And after the fight, he called out the winner of Sergey Spivak versus Cyril Gane early September in Paris and said he wanted to fight that winner in November at MSG. And so I will say here, and I will say this to him when he comes on the show, it was a perfect week for Tom Aspinall. It was an absolute dream of a week. It was a glorious week for Tom Aspinall. I mean, he couldn't have scripted it any better. Beginning, middle, end. The one thing I didn't like about what Tom Aspinall did this past weekend was the call out. I love that he called someone out. I love that he was specific. I love that he said, I'm going to go there and I'm going to fight the winner at MSG. All of that was great. But I felt like he got the wrong guys. I feel like the fight is him versus Sergey Pavlovich. That's the fight. And I know they've been booked before and it wasn't able to come to fruition. But that to me is the fight. And I will say this to all of you right now, and I'm not lying about this. I say it from the heart. No hyperbole whatsoever. I am just as interested in Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich as I am in John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. And dare I say, perhaps I'm a victim of the moment right now. I fully admit that potential. Dare I say just a little more interested in Aspinall versus Pavlovich because these are two absolute killers in their prime, ready to go. The evolution, the next chapter, the next era, the next group of heavyweights, that's the fight. We already saw Tom Aspinall fight Sergey Spivak, and it wasn't that close. And Gane, yes, if he comes back and looks good, there's some interest there. But then what? Gane versus Aspinall? And what if Gane wins? Now he's fighting John Jones again? I refuse to believe that John Jones is done after November I think it's 11th. I refuse to believe that. I do believe that Stipe Miocic is done. Win or lose, November 12th, I think he's done from the sport. I think he's out of here. And I think the only reason he came back is because of the John Jones fight. I think if Sergey or Tom Aspinall or Gane or Spivak, if Gane would have won in March, if some other guy would have won against John Jones, I don't think he's coming back. If Francis was still around, maybe he comes back for that fight. It's Francis and John. Francis obviously gone. John is the champ. All right, he's going to come back for that. But I don't think he has any interest in fighting anyone else. I think John still does, but I think he needs that why. And I like what Tom is saying. I'm going to give him that why. I need to give him that performance to, light a fire, to tickle his fancy. He gave him that performance on Saturday. Solid call out. Said he's going to beat the winner of that fight in Paris. I didn't love the, who he was talking about. Of course, totally fine if he fights those guys. It's not my top choice. But what was the end? The end point was, I'm going to go after John Jones. And I think that if you do Sergey Pavlovich versus, again, if you do Tom versus the winner of Cyril Gane and Sergey Spivak, that's a 2-month turnaround. And we just found out with, DDP, that's a lot to ask. Oh, that was the other big thing that happened. That was a crazy Wednesday night when all that stuff was going on at the same time, that it's going to be probably Sean Strickland, not DDP, against Izzy. 2 months is a short turnaround. Sergey's ready to go. That's enough time. You put them in the co-main event or in the third spot. I mean, if it was up to me, MSG would have John Stipe, Leon Colby, Tom, and freaking Sergey. I mean, who says no? World's most famous arena, the freaking Mecca, all eyes, November. Come on. That's the fight. And you get a big time performance out of either Aspinall or Pavlovich, and then Jones, Stipe. And if it's John Jones who wins, great. Hopefully that winner has done enough to impress. If it's Stipe who wins, now you've got a vacant title, and maybe then the winner of that fight is fighting the winner of Spivak versus Gane for the vacant title, because they will have just fought each other. That's what I would like to see. So I was a little bit surprised, especially considering the fact that he has already beaten Sergey Spivak. The Gane fight would be fun. Don't get me wrong. It would be fun. But to me, my choice is Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich in November at Madison Square Garden. Unfortunately for Molly McCann, tough loss for her. I just saw on her social media that she pretty much said she's going to go down to 115. And my heart breaks for Molly. Molly's a great person who's an inspiration to a lot of people, who has done things the right way, who fights with her heart on her sleeve, who's a great representative for, UK MMA and women's MMA, and is someone that you would want, your kids to be a fan of. And I see that people are sort of, celebrating her recent losses and trying to relish, her whatever perception of a demise that you may think is happening. And that's just the shitty byproduct of social media. And I hope she's not taking any of that to heart, because I know she has a lot of supporters out there, but this is a tough go for her. And I hope, I know she takes the losses very hard, and I hope she doesn't take this one very hard. But there was a lot of attention, a big spotlight on her, and Stolyarenko is solid on the ground, and she got her with the armbar. So we'll see what happens with Molly dropping down to 115. We'll see if that's the right move for her, and the healthiest move for her as well. Nathaniel Wood and Andre Feely had a great fight, won by Nathaniel Wood. Back on top for him. Congratulations to him. His sister is getting married today, so I think he's a little bit banged up, and maybe that's not great for the photos, but great win for him. Paul Craig, like I said, with the big win. Fariz Ziam beat Jai Herbert. I know, this card was talked about as not maybe not the best London card, and I know there were some slow moments, no doubt, throughout, and the crowd didn't feel as hot. They were missing some of those big names. A lot of them unavailable. Lerone Murphy with the win. Daniel Marcos with the split decision win over Davey Grant. Johnny Parsons with the win over Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. Obviously, a lot of these, British fighters losing didn't help the cause as well. Joel Alvarez is a stud, although it was a bit of a controversial ending with Mark Giacchese. Mick Parkin, shout out team BFG. They now go 3-0 over the week with Phil DeFries and then Parkin and then Aspinall. Great win for an up-and-comer who they speak very highly of. He won and improved to 7-0, had a unanimous decision win. Mahmoud Muradov had a win. Caitlin Vieira figures to be in the plans at 135 now, the updated and renewed 135-pound division. Chris Duncan with the win over Yanal Ashmuz. Shauna Bannon had a tough loss to Bruna Brazil in her UFC debut. She came on very strong late, but it was too much and too late in that fight. So she'll be back, but there was a lot of attention on her. And the first couple rounds were just tough for her in her UFC debut. And Jafel Filio had a win as well. So overall, a solid afternoon of fights here in the United States. And I was talking to some people leading up to it. I was like, yeah, this doesn't feel like the last four, doesn't have the buzz. I said, if Tom Aspinall does what he is supposed to do and he ends the night the right way and he ends it in an emphatic way with an exclamation point, all will be forgotten. And maybe it doesn't need to be forgotten. Maybe it shouldn't be forgotten, but that was what the people wanted to see, especially after the depressing Molly McCann loss. That was exactly what the doctor ordered, and everyone went home happy because of Tom Aspinall. Now, let me ask the guys, what do you make of what I just said there? Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich was the fight to suggest, and Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich is actually kind of more interesting than John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. What do you think, GC? What do you think?
Oh, it felt like Rick was ready to go.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm rare.
Please.
Disagree strongly on both fronts.
Wow. So go ahead. Take your pick.
Easier path to the title, if you can get it, is through Cyril Gane and Sergey Spivak. So call them out, potentially set that up, plant that seed, put that in the UFC's mind and the fans' mind. And if you don't, then just sign up to fight Sergey Pavlovich. Why not call your shot? Take the path that I see, and I imagine Tom Aspinall sees as a quicker and easier path, less risky. And then if it doesn't come to be, and you end up booked against Sergey Pavlovich, great. Take the fight for number one contendership, and take the title fight. So I like that that he's picking that path a lot better, because he can fight Sergey regardless. Doesn't matter what he's doing. So call for what you want. And then as far as the fight itself, think Tom is big time. Think he could even be in this position, like I was talking about it in the post show. I think he could even be in a position where like him versus Sergey could be a pay-per-view headliner. Like,
sure.
I think that's a level of fight like a Dustin and Justin where like there's so much at stake and these guys are so willing to put on an exciting fight that it could headline a pay-per-view if the UFC's strapped and doesn't have enough title fights in a year. I could see it being one that they fill in with. So I like that fight a lot, but it does not trump a John Jones fight for me.
So you're looking at this from Tom Aspinall's point of view. You know, I'm big on the promotion, so I'm looking at this from the promotion's point of view, and I would love to see, I think the biggest fight possible is Sergey versus Tom. There's no
Sure.
That is big. Now, if you're saying like I'm managing Tom Aspinall and what path do I want to take to get to...
That's the perspective I was taking.
No, I'm a promotion kind of guy. I'm looking at what's best for the UFC.
Don't care about that.
I mean, I love the idea of it being on 295 and like being on the same card as that John Jones Stipe Miocic fight, but I still am more interested in John Jones Stipe Miocic. There's just too much stake. It's another John Jones fight at heavyweight. It's only the second time we've seen him. He's going against Stipe. Last fight for Stipe, like you said, I think regardless of what happens. So yeah, I still am more interested in that.
Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, someone's going to take this comment out of context and say like, "Whoa, what are you talking?" But like,
I mean, you said what you said.
No, I'm just saying. And I also said I may be, a prisoner of the moment. But the point is, from a style standpoint, to me, like from an actual holy shit, Sergey Pavlovich with his skill set and Tom Aspinall with his skill set, to me, is more interesting than Stipe with his skill set at this point and John Jones' skill set going toe-to-toe. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting...
Round one finish for sure. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be a banger. Like,
you think it's a round one finish?
Yes.
And also competitiveness, right? That's in factor here. Like, I'm not going to speak for you, but I'll speak for myself. I don't think John Jones versus Stipe Miocic is going to be competitive. I think John Jones is going to blow his doors off. Like, that's just...
This is what I'm talking about. Okay,
my stance right now.
Right.
But getting a John Jones fight, as we can still get them, to me matters. And I think we
at heavyweight too. We've only seen him at heavyweight once.
I know, but you guys are about the sizzle. I'm about the steak.
Oh yeah,
I'm a purist.
You're all about the fight technique and not the spectacle at all. And not
the stakes.
Yes.
I'm about what is at stake here. John Jones.
Oh my God,
but Mr. X's and O's, Ariel Helwani.
By the way, can I tell you something? There's actually more at stake between Tom and Sergey than Jones and Stipe.
Now this one I'm going to need a justification for. Explain,
what do you mean?
Please.
This is for the title of next big thing.
You can stop there. This is for the title.
No, this is for the next big thing.
The one in November is for the title. You can stop your sentence right there.
By the way,
for the title.
By the way, the way they're billing John Jones versus Stipe at the moment, on the DL is like a double retirement fight. I mean, what? Double retirement fight? I mean, is that not
if
the,
it is, if
who
it is,
wants to
it
see a
is.
double retirement fight for the belt? So you're telling me that by the end of the night, it's going to be a vacant title?
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe John Jones sticks around. Tommy Aspinall's open for it.
Listen, make freaking, you know what? Make Sergey versus freaking Tommy for the BMF. You see, we got the BMF right over there. We're all in on the BMF. You see
Yes,
that?
we are all in on the BMF. I want that to be known. I got my Poirier's KO edition right here. I'll be using this on all my food throughout the entire week. I also like the idea of Aspinall being in Paris and being like, all right, whoever wins, I got next. I like that idea.
Yeah, no.
I also feel like
there's no
Pavlovich
real
is
wrong
resigning
answer.
himself.
What's that?
I feel like Pavlovich is resigning himself to wait for the title shot.
Well, here's the thing, and the reason Tom Aspinall has an advantage in all these kind of conversations about how the heavyweight thing shakes out. Pavlovich can do his work in the cage, and it's been some very impressive, incredible work. But then the mic comes, and you don't have what Tommy Aspinall has. Tom can get on the mic, call his shot, say, I'm going to be the guy to beat John Jones, get in the press conference, be affable. Everybody likes him. I've talked about it before. He's a guy, to me, that makes you believe like what he's going to say, and it's a rare ability to do that. Conor McGregor comes to mind as somebody who's been able to do that. But when he speaks, you believe that he's going to be able to manifest these things for himself. So when he says, I'm going to be the guy, I'm going to beat John Jones, you start to believe it. Even for a John Jones fanboy like myself, who doesn't believe that anybody could beat John Jones, you start to believe what Tom Aspinall says. So that's an advantage that he's always going to have over Sergey Pavlovich. Anytime there's a mic in front of him, he's going to be able to cut that promo and start to make the things that Sergey's done in the cage kind of fall to the wayside by the sheer fact that Tom can do those things in the cage, but then also cut the promo and sell it to you. So Sergey's in a tough spot, quite frankly. Like, he really is. There's not a.
He's got the body of work though, but he doesn't have the.
Yeah, but so does Tom.
Yeah,
So
I know.
does Tom.
That's why I want to see them fight each other to see who's the man.
Yeah, I'm.
Maybe we'll see that fight one day.
I love that.
Oh,
fight.
I mean, by the way,
Next, I don't think.
if we don't see that fight one day, something went terribly wrong for one of them. They're the top two guys, in my opinion.
I would say it's them plus you throw Jalton Almeida, who's going to fight Curtis Blades, and if he can get past Curtis Blades, to me, the biggest thing we lost last year was Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. I think we were going to find out where Tom Aspinall really is. All due respect to Marcin Tybura, that was not the measuring stick fight for me. I think
It was the
Curtis
perfect
Blades-
comeback fight, though.
It's a great comeback fight, but I didn't learn anything new about Tom Aspinall other than the dude overcame all the difficulties that he had and showed out and was able to do what we hoped he would be able to do. But it wasn't the type of fight where I felt like Tom was going to be pushed and I'm going to learn something new about him. Curtis Blades was that opportunity, and I think he probably felt was that opportunity, and we lost on that. Jalton Almeida is now going to be one who fights Curtis Blades, and we're going to know exactly where Jalton Almeida is at.
Yo, by the way, Jalton Almeida versus Tom Aspinall somewhere down the line is freaky.
Another guy in the mix.
There's fights to be made.
There's fights here at
At
heavyweight.
old 265.
It's so crazy how
what about
John
this
Jones
new
moves a
age?
division, and now all of a sudden there's
Yeah.
opportunities for these guys.
What about this new age heavyweight, right? Like
love it.
heavyweight that's good on his feet, good on the ground, good all over the place. I mean,
I'm hyped on it.
the days of the heavyweights just being like the sort of
what if-
slow, out
What
of
if
shape
Cyril
guy
Gane
over.
can bounce back? Like he could potentially be a player. I know he got ousted quick by John Jones, but
that grappling's gonna be hard to overcome.
I just want like Cyril Gane versus Aspinall is a tough matchup for him. I'm not saying he can't.
I'm
but-
down for that. I would love to see that. fight.
Honestly, for me, like I think Gane will have a nice performance in Paris. He'll be back home, but I'm wondering about like the mental side of the game right now for him. Coming back from that loss where it seemed like the moment got to him, I'm wondering how he rebounds.
Well, listen, Spivak can grapple, so he could be in trouble
Yeah.
again if
I
he hasn't improved.
I don't think it's a far gone conclusion that we see Cyril Gane walk away with the win there. Like, I don't think this is
for
necessarily an easy landing spot for a guy who needs a little bit of confidence right now.
But don't you worry? That fight is what, like September 8th or something like that? September 6th, 4th, one of the first week of September.
Second.
Yeah,
Okay.
early September.
Yeah, third. You're right. All right. So MSG is November 10th. That guy's going to turn around in 2 months.
Wait, what?
MSG is November 10th. Tom says he wants to fight the winner of the September
Oh,
3rd.
in the same card as yeah. I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen.
What do you think? Tom needs to fight at MSG.
He does?
Yes. New York, a lot of Brits here. This is where stars are made. put Tom on MSG, put him there right under. Tom needs to fight on the same card as John Jones. That's the move. That's the move.
I guess if you can make it happen, but I don't know if he has to.
That's why you fight him versus Sergey.
It's a riskier fight.
Who knows if Sergey wants it? Also, Pavlovich.
Why wouldn't he?
Well,
They were-
this is the
by the
thing.
way, they were supposed
We
to
don't-
fight not that long ago.
We don't
Because
hear
he's
from
talking
him.
about a title shot, man. He's just like, all right, I beat Curtis Blades. I've proved my worth. 5 straight first-round knockouts. It's time for me to get the shot.
Were you
I
going
mean,
to say?
who's next after the John Jones Stipe? I feel like it's just Pavlovich.
Okay, here's the question: true or false? John Jones blows through Stipe.
I say true. I don't.
No,
think
no.
he's gonna do
Here's
that.
the question:
Oh,
is he sticking around?
oh,
Yes,
no. I mean, I don't think it's a short.
I think yes. I think he does.
It was a true or
I
false,
think
not
he
a yes
needs-
or no.
I think he needs to see something from somebody to stick around. I think he might go away for a bit and then come back, if anything.
Like, give up the belt?
Somebody. I mean,
Wait, what are
straight
we not
first-round
seeing
knockouts.
from Tom and Sergey?
A pay-per-view draw? Somebody who's going to be...
It's going to take a while for that
Why
guy
is
to emerge.
How about this? You answer your own question. Why is Sergey Pavlovich not fighting for the title instead of Stipe Miocic?
Oh, I know.
What do we not see from Sergey Pavlovich?
Sure, but guess who has that it factor? Big Tom.
He's not there yet.
He's
He
got-
hasn't. He
he's
hasn't.
got the fan
he hasn't
base?
even been on a pay-per-view.
I
got
think
the
John
fan
Jones
base?
is too much of a competitor. I don't think he's going to retire after this.
Neither do I.
Tom Aspinall saying his name as often as he is.
Maybe not retire, but I could see him sitting out for a bit. I think he needs a worthy rival, and I think Tom Aspinall is on his way there. I think Sergey Pavlovich are on their way there. I don't think they're guys you can. If you throw them into a pay-per-view, it's because John Jones is the other side of it, and
Of
he's the
course.
pay-per-view draw. I think we can get to a point where people are clamoring for the fight more.
I know it was his debut, and I know it was to get the title at heavyweight. But I mean, if he fought Cyril Gane, I think he'd be willing to fight a Pavlovich or an Aspinall.
By the way, Tom Aspinall is bigger than Cyril Gane, popularity-wise.
Cyril Gane has headlined 2 pay-per-views already.
No, it was kind of,
2, 3. He fought Derek
Three,
Lewis.
yeah.
He fought Francis Ngannou. He fought John Jones. 3 pay-per-views. Like that's
well,
that's
two
a
going
different.
into that.
A couple more main events as well.
That's
how
a
many,
different.
How many sold-out arenas? I'm not trying to make this
These are
into a
different-
Cyril Gane
These are
crap.
different things. These are different
Go
things.
to the old faithful. How many Instagram followers?
Think, think about the difference.
238. Cyril Gane. 1 million. Wow.
Think about the difference. Yeah, Tom Aspinall. Think about the difference between the way people were clamoring for Charles versus Habib when Habib left, and think about the way people were clamoring for Charles versus Habib when Charles was on his run. There's different levels to this, and like I think John Jones is rightfully able to say, I can wait for that opportunity to be there. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a hiatus. Maybe not retirement, but I think there's still work to be done, in my opinion.
So Tom Aspinall's next fight is going to be against who?
I'm going to say Cyril Gane.
Yeah, winner of that fight.
Wow. And so no MSG?
I just don't think you need to force that.
If
Who's-
it's Cyril Gane, then I think there's almost no chance it's going to be at MSG. If it's Spivak, then maybe.
Okay, so Pavlovich's next fight is against who?
The UFC heavyweight champion or for the vacant title.
So you think there's a chance that John Jones is fighting Stipe, that belt gets vacated, Tom Aspinall fights Cyril Gane, and then the winner of that fight is fighting Sergey for the vacant title?
Yeah, I think that's a real possibility.
To me, there's
so Sergey's
no
not fighting for a very long time because he has
he
to wait
fights for the
these-
belt.
But there has to be 2 more fights that need to happen before he fights, and they're not happening
Honestly,
by
imagine
November,
if-
December.
Imagine if Jailton goes out and does what he's been doing to everyone else to Curtis Blades. Now he is, and
He's leapfrogging over Tom Aspinall?
no, but he has just as much claim to the throne as Pavlovich does at that point.
He doesn't have the wins at heavyweight that Pavlovich does. Pavlovich on a nice little run here at heavyweight.
Yeah,
A Curtis
true.
Blades
But
win.
Curtis Blades' first round finish for Jailton Almeida puts him right into the conversation.
Curtis Blades win?
Yeah.
Like Curtis
Jailton finishes him in
Jalton
the first round.
finishes Curtis.
doesn't leapfrog Tom.
I'm not saying he leapfrogs. I'm just saying he's a player.
Yeah, sure.
Seriously,
It
in the
becomes
conversation
muddied.
at that
It
point.
becomes muddied.
I love it though. I love a muddy
I
heavyweight
don't-
conversation.
I
mean,
want
let's
Sergey
make
versus
it
Tom
interesting.
at heavyweight. I want Sergey at
I don't think
MSG.
anybody doesn't. I think it'd be
Oh,
great.
my God. And when I say Sergey, by the way, there's 2 Sergeys that we're talking about here.
let's be clear,
Pavlovich.
Pavlovich. Yeah, Pavlovich
I want
versus Tom.
Aspinall Spivak too. Oh man, I want Pavlovich versus Aspinall. That to me, honestly,
we need to hear from Pavlovich. Pavlovich needs to find somebody
Can you
to
get him on the
talk
phone
to
real
get
quick?
an interview and say what he wants to do because we're shooting blind
Let's see
right
what
now.
he's been up to. Probably posted a picture on the beach in like a polo, looking very friendly, but also
also
yeah,
terrifying.
Last post, him in a nice button down, smiling next to his car,
Yeah.
waiting for news. He says he's waiting for news.
When was that?
June 23rd. God, he's such a
Waiting
wholesome
for a
looking
long
guy. I
time.
love him.
He's been waiting.
I mean, there's so many guys at heavyweight that it's so easy to cheer for him.
Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall might be my most anticipated non-title fight that could be made at the moment.
It's pretty good. It's pretty damn good.
Fucking awesome. I love it.
Here's another post from him just last week. Him in the car. Timing is amazing thing. It's so short when you're late and so much when you're waiting.
Mm.
He's getting anxious.
Cryptic Pavlovich over here. I love it, dude.
Wow.
Maybe you'll get your wish. Get a little anxious, and if they can say winner of this gets a title shot, why not? I think it works for both guys.
Who holds a belt first at heavyweight? A real belt, undisputed title, not interim BS. Tom Aspinall or Sergey Pavlovich?
I don't know.
I think it depends on who
That's no fun.
fights for it first.
I don't know is no fun. I'll say Tommy. Hit it, Frank.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
I'm gonna say Pavlovich because I think he can get the shot sooner.
Bunch of haters. Clip this off. Played for Tommy in about 30 minutes.
No, nobody.
Definitely. I'm a
By
Tom
the way,
Aspinall hater for
by the way,
sure.
let's not revise history here. We were having this conversation months ago, and we were talking about the players at heavyweight, and it was actually yours truly who brought up Tom's name, who wasn't even mentioned.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, the
What?
Tommy Aspinall chant. Yeah, go back. Go
What?
look through the archives.
This is
No,
pre-
you looked to the archive.
it was
You
yours
have to bring the
truly.
receipts.
It was
pre-blades or
yours truly.
post-blades?
Post blades.
This
Where
is crazy.
he was out, and we were having who's the next guy?
I have made it a
heavyweight, blah,
point
blah,
to
blah.
mention Tom's
Yeah,
name like
you're
every
welcome.
month on the
You're
show.
welcome for planting that seed. Go back and look.
Wow. All right.
Somebody, Jed, I'm giving Jedi Goodman. I'm giving you an
Oh,
assignment.
my
Go
gosh.
back and look for that heavyweight
Guys
conversation.
giving out assignments.
Crazy.
It was me. It was me who reminded everybody that Tommy was still a player because
Wow.
I believe he will be a future champion for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. Like whether it's while John Jones is in the heavyweight division or not, there will be a point where Tom Aspinall will be a champ.
Oh,
no doubt.
this is 100%. This is 100% facts right here. This is
Wow.
facts. This is fax machine emoji. This is facsimile.
Jesus.
This is everything. Tom Aspinall will
superstition
hold.
at all?
Absolutely not. Tom Aspinall will be a UFC heavyweight champion before it's all said and done.
He's too well rounded. He's too different. Like you don't see that kind of speed and explosion from the heavyweights often, especially the lightness on the feet. It would take a real derailment skills wise.
Yeah, I thought the injury. I thought the injury might be it.
Yeah, you just
and he
never
came
know.
back better.
Came back better.
I'm gonna keep cheering him on.
Yeah, Tom's the man. I believe. I
Yeah.
definitely believe.
Who's Joe talking to?
Paul Craig, Mr. Paul Craig.
Whoa, he's here so early.
Yeah.
Wow.
One
Bro,
of his-
professional, baby.
Beard looks great.
Punctuality.
Beard
Yeah.
Do
look
you
great.
guys agree that
Hairline
it's
looks
time to
great.
get out of London a little bit?
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
let's go to. I mean, they threw out Glasgow as an idea.
I believe it's pronounced Glasgow. They get very mad
you would
about
know better
that.
than me. You would
Yeah,
know better than
They get
me.
very mad about
Uh,
that. Oh, we could ask our next guest. That Ireland would be great, right?
Oh, Ireland would be fantastic. Even a Liverpool or a Manchester would be cool too. But yeah, 4 straight Londons.
Well, let me explain to you about Liverpool. The arena, which used to be the Echo Arena, is now sponsored by Marks and Spencer. And Marks and Spencer, we've talked about this, right? They're sort of like a Target-y type of place. They have said no MMA in their arena, which is very bizarre. This is the same
Smart.
arena.
Just smart business. You know, one of
I
the
know.
hottest
Yeah.
sports in the world.
We don't
Just
want
say,
any $4 million gates. No, thank you.
no.
No, take
need.
it elsewhere. All good in the hood.
Remember when fights were good enough for Detroit? I don't want to start
Oh.
this again, but that was.
Oh
that
my
was
God, you
great.
remember that whole thing? We need Ronda Rousey here. And that was like Charles Oliveira was on there, Max Holloway, Jose Aldo. That was
If we
actually a
got
really
that
good
card
fight.
in this era, I mean, people
Overeem.
would be losing their minds.
Oh my gosh, you know yourself.
But that's an unfortunate stance there.
Very stupid, very stupid. Because that arena, I mean, they've pretty much sold out for Cage Warriors, and when the UFC has gone there, it's been insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's enough. There's Newcastle, there's Manchester,
It
there's
is time.
stadiums. Yeah,
It
they
is
need
time.
to get out of there.
Oh, it's oversaturated. It went from one a year to now it's like twice a year. They just back it up a little bit, go somewhere else, do it once a year. The roof will come off.
Well, A lot of people have been saying, go to Scotland, go to Glasgow, and headline it with our next guest, with Berju, who looked fantastic at 185 pounds in his 185-pound debut. Holy smokes, who knew he had it in him? He looked tremendous, svelte as ever. The beard looked great. The cheeks look great. The hair looked great. It all looked great. The finish looked great as well. Here he is, the one and only Paul Craig joining us. Hello, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, how you doing, man? It's been a while.
It has been a while. Where have you been? You're hard to track down.
I know I've just been hustling. I had to take myself away for absolutely everything in the last 2 fights, coming off back-to-back losses. I had to go away and reassess myself as an MMA fighter and assess myself where I need to go. Sat down with the management team, and one of the options was middleweight. It was something we'd spoke about in years. It's been about 11 years I have been in this sport. I just got a notification, like, it was at the weekend there. 11 years was my first fight. So as a light heavyweight, and we've always been, can we make middleweight? Is it something that's achievable? And what we did was we did the tests. We made sure it was possible to slim all the way down, and it worked. And it's been some adventure the last 6 months in my career, going from getting knocked out or technically knocked out in Rio to rebuilding myself back up to now becoming in the mix again with not only light heavyweights but middleweights now.
Yeah. And by the way, I love how we just jumped right into things. You're such a pro. You just gave me like 5 answers right there in the first hello. No, tremendous. So did you do a test cut? Like, did you go all the way down to 185?
We did. We went to the PI because originally, after January, when I stepped across, when I was across the octagon for Johnny Walker, and all the time, I was like, whoa, he's a special man, isn't he? He's a freak of nature. He's like an outlier in the division, because he's really, really tall, really athletic, and he hits like a train. So we had to reassess where we fitted in the division to light heavyweight. And one of the things we said was like, let's see if it's feasible to do middleweight. We go out to the PI, the guys run all the tests. What they found was, yes, we can make middleweight, and it's going to be safe at a safe level. You're going to have to slim down a little bit of muscle, and you're going to have to drop a lot of fat. And we had shown that we can do that on Friday morning. I was really, really skinny, as you said. The cheekbones, you look like a grated cheese in the thing. But then a few hours later, it's amazing what the body can do. Just after a couple of litres of water, following a scientific basis when we've done that, like through the support of the PI, as well as Boxing Science's Lee Rickards. And then from that, we were a different animal come Saturday night. And we bounced back further than we did as a light heavyweight. So once we made the weight to, I think we were 84.5 kg on the Friday morning. And by the time we went into the fight, we were 97 kg. That's heavier than what I was in fighting Johnny Walker in the start of January. I think I was 95 as I bounced back then. And then we're way up at 97. So you can see the benefits of doing it, right? I know that it's probably not the best thing to be doing at the age of 35, but you can understand why athletes do it. You can understand why guys make these huge cuts, because there's a huge advantage, and it showed on Saturday.
Wow. And so I just did the math here, because I don't know it off the top of my head. So that's around 213 pounds you weighed on Saturday. So you gained like 30 pounds in a little over 24 hours.
30 pounds of sex appeal, man. That's a good number.
Fantastic. I wasn't sure if it was the hair. The hair is looking so luscious these days. So, I mean, at least 5 pounds there, right?
I know somebody had just tweeted saying Paul's hair transplant looks brilliant, but somebody needs to tell me he needs to get the back finished. Yeah. I'm obviously still balding at the back. It's like a losing battle. It's like dealing with the surf. When the wave comes in, it constantly comes in and out.
Yes.
That's what's happening in the back. It's like a wave.
Are you going to do the whole thing? Because I know you were open about the front. Are you doing the whole thing? What's the plan?
Well, I've actually had here. I had the whole procedure where the front and the back was done. But the back's just one of these places where I'm constantly lining the mat, and so the back's just getting rubbed off on the back of the mat. So that is. Did
you do that whole thing like you went to Turkey and all that, like the other athletes?
Yeah,
what?
went to Turkey. It was maybe about. The whole process was only like a day or two, and then it was about 3 months and I was back to full training. And it looks relatively good. I didn't realise how bad my hair was until it looks good. Whereas before I was just shaving it, I wasn't really paying much attention to it. But now I'm like, whoa, I've got some curls, and then as I grow it longer, I'll be that nice dew throw, which is pretty cool.
So why is Turkey, by the way, the epicenter of this stuff?
I don't know. I think it's the fact that they've got some of the best doctors in plastic surgery. So not only for hair transplants, but for everything. That's where quite a lot of people in Europe go. So it just became this kind of mecca for people to adapt themselves to look like how they want to.
Tremendous.
So I don't think I'm going to go for anything else. I know some people probably say get the teeth, but I kind of like having a bit of character in my teeth.
Yeah. No, you don't need that. All right, we have a bit of a left turn there in the conversation, but going back to the weight cut, like Thursday night, Friday, at any point where you're like, fuck me, this is way too tough. Why did I do this? Did you ever question it?
No, I definitely didn't. Because as I said, when we did the fake weight cut, because I actually come all the way down to the weight, I made sure I can make it before we went to Mick Maynard and said, listen, Mick, we can make this. Because the last thing you want to be doing is basically messing about with the UFC. Because I'm not going to say they would punish you, but the last thing you want to be doing is going back in your word and saying, listen, we can make 185, and then 2 months later being like, oh, by the way, we can't actually do that.
Yeah.
It's professional, and it's one of the things, it's something I've never ever done. I've never ever missed weight. I've always been as professional as I possibly can. So during the fake cut, I did it as a fake cut gone wrong. So ideally, the weight was slightly heavier going into the weight cut that week. Body fat was slightly higher. Muscle mass was slightly higher. So it wasn't the best cut. It wasn't the A or the gold standard cut. It was probably like a few levels below that. And we made the weight, and then we done the performance. So I know what it's like at the absolute maximum I can go, where muscles are starting to cramp. So when it came to doing that on Thursday night, it was really, really easy. And as I said, having guys round about you, people who know what they're doing, because there's people out there who are probably thinking, oh, I can't maybe think about moving weight class. That's fine. But you need to have the right people around about you. You need to have a really good nutritionist. You need to have really good strength and conditioning coaches. You need to have support. Like, I couldn't have done this on my own. I was thinking about that as I was coming up the road on Saturday afternoon. I was like, if I didn't have the guys around about me, there's no way I'd been able to do that. And if you think about it as an athlete, you try and have the best coaches for your striking, for your jiu-jitsu, for everything else. Why would you not do it with nutrition? Why would you just leave it up to chance? Like, oh, maybe I'll make 185. So I done it in a very, very safe and controlled manner, and we were very, very safe when it came to it.
By the way, how was your confidence going into the fight after the two losses? Were you questioning yourself? How are you feeling about yourself and the game and your spot in the sport?
Yeah, it's difficult. That is probably the mental clarity is very, very difficult after the two losses. And the way I did get beat the last time in London was for me trying to pull guard. You go to social media and see what all the posts are like, and it's not a very nice place to be after a loss like that. The confidence I took for that was, right, if Ozdemir isn't knocking me out, I don't think a 185 is going to knock me out. And then when I go to like the Johnny Walker fight, and I think, right, it wasn't my night. There's travel, Johnny Walker's massive, where there was other issues going on in the background with changing teams, all this kind of stuff. So but I can put these two camps, the previous two camps with the losses, down to external factors. Not having a main coach, running the last year's London fight camp out of shed. Excuse me, because I run that pretty much with a few training partners in a shed in Scotland. Whereas now I've went to a higher level. I've been working with James Doolan, who was one of the top European athletes in MMA, and now he's a coach. So he's got some really, really good traits when it comes to MMA. He's super focused and probably hyper focused on areas like striking. So that's where I need to improve. So it made sense to go to James and have him make a better version of me with regards to footwork, being able to move in and out. As I said, he uses little taglines, and one of them is soft knees and good eyes. If you get soft knees and good eyes, you'll see everything coming and you'll be able to react. Even if it hits you, you'll still be able to deal with it as it's coming in. Like the head kick I ate on Saturday night, it was full on to the side of my head, but because I seen it coming, the body reacts and it's able to take that shot a little bit better.
Wow. And so you were training out of a shed for your last fight, part of this one.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
So my teammate Chris Bungard, he's got a shed. It's matted, and we were going in there and we were running fight camp. And I'm talking, we had like, this was light heavyweight at this time, and I had like 2 heavyweight training partners, and I had another 2 light heavyweight training partners. So there's 5 big dudes in this little tiny shed throwing down, and it was like literally fighting in a phone box. But it was, at the time, it was what I had. So we made do with it. And Chris Bungard, as I said, the Cage Warriors fighter, he ran a full camp for me. Ideally, you need more training partners, you need more coaches, you need more support. But it was pretty much the best we could do. So that was against Ozdemir last year in London. And I'm not going to say that if I had this, X, Y, and Z, there was a chance we'd have won that fight. That's not how this game works. This game works as, on that night, you lost. It doesn't matter about any external factors. You stepped into the octagon, knowing all your external factors, and you lost. So you can't just go like, but this could have happened and that could have happened. We don't live in the past or the buts and the maybes. Don't live in that. When you live in the moment.
So then you have this fight, you get this opportunity, you move down 25. And what about that start, the face-off there with Bruce Buffer in the middle? I mean, that's iconic stuff. What prompted all of that? Usually they try to separate you guys. This time they just let it be. And Bruce is in the middle there, and you guys, like, it felt like one of those old Pride stare downs. It was the way they shot it too. What sparked that?
So I always like to take control of the octagon, right? Take that centre spot. When he calls my name, I like to experience the home, everything about what's going on in that moment. The fans, Bruce Buffer. I love it. That's the part of the MMA I love. The pageantry. I've said this to you before. Like, set him onto when we step up and do the ceremonial weigh-ins, and he can get his face, and he can't actually do anything about it. I love all that. So when I go in there, I just want to experience absolutely everything in that octagon. And then he started walking forward, and I was like, "Oh, we're doing this. Let's go." So I'm not one to back down for the fight, and we were literally nose to nose. And you can see Bruce Buffer's got this little twinkle in his eye, and he was loving life. But what that did was that lifted London, because I think up until that point, through what I've heard from fans, through what I've heard from people watching, the show wasn't as explosive as previous shows have been in London. And my fight was kind of like a turning point for that. And obviously I won, and the way I did win, and it was very exciting. And I think fans appreciate that from me. When I fight, I do put on a performance, and it doesn't matter if you're going to see me get knocked out or I'm going to be doing the submitting. It doesn't matter. I'm always involved in exciting fights. So after that, the place just kind of erupted, and then we had another few fights, and Tom went out and done his thing. So I think that's why they let it go as well, because they need a little bit of something in the air.
I love that you embrace the pageantry, like at the weigh-ins with the face paint and all that. Does a part of you wish that you could wear whatever you want, you can walk out with whatever you want? I know you've tapped into the world of pro wrestling. I'm going to ask you about that in a moment, but do you wish that you could show a little bit more of your personality, on fight week, at the event, in the arena, during the fight, etc.?
It's very difficult, because one of these things about showing so much of your actual personality, there's little bits that come out of me. Like, sometimes I'll say, and they'll be like, that's quite funny, and that's very close to my personality. But what you've got to remember is this is business at the end of the day, and the last thing you want to be doing is cutting these pro wrestling promos, because I grew up watching pro wrestling. I love it. The last thing you want to do is cutting them, and then it comes to your fight, and you kind of end up looking like a bit of a bum if anything goes wrong or it doesn't go the way you wanted it to go. Like saying, I'm going to knock this guy out in the third round, and he's going to feel power and steel and sex appeal. Like, that kind of stuff doesn't really cut in MMA, because you end up looking like a little bitch. But in pro wrestling, as we both love, it's absolutely tremendous, because you know who's getting the nod most of the time in the evening, so he can then cut these promos to then suit his narrative.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I love the shot after the finish. It's almost like you needed a smoke after that. Like, you just kind of sat back and chill. What was going on in your mind after that? There's a great photo of, like, he's clearly out of it. You're just like taking a breath right after you finish him. You've seen this photo, I would imagine. It's a tremendous shot.
It's like all this emotion is inside you, and you've got to kind of control it. Your music brings emotion. For me personally, when I'm walking out there, there's this emotion. You've got to try and disguise it. The last thing you want to do is showing this emotion. And I'm not saying by showing emotion shows weakness, but when it's war and we're getting ready for war, it can show that there's a bit of weakness in there. So I never ever show any emotion as I'm walking out. And I watch back the fight and I can see this little bit of, I take a look around and I'm looking around the O2 Arena and I can see my name, I can see the fans, I can see Scotland flags getting waved, I can hear my song. And as I walk there, everything just felt right. And then you go into this octagon, you have this really intense stare down, and then the fight then starts. And then everything just goes quiet. And the only thing you can hear is your coach. And then you go through your whole process, and then it's difficult. This motion keeps building up and building up and building up. And then you go for being Paul Craig winning the fight, and then as you sit down and you see that, you can see you totally change back to Paul Craig, and it's like this massive weight's just been lifted off your shoulders, and you sit down and it's like trying to take everything in, take in all the fans, take in that noise again. So that's what it is. It's just a changing from going through the Bear Duty Paul back to Paul Craig.
And I would imagine a bit of a relief too, right? Considering how the last two fights went.
Yep, definitely. Because, like, you're always going to doubt your abilities, and especially going up against a high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner. As I said, he broke Jacare's arm. He did the same to he did it to somebody else, Eric Anders, I'm sure it was. So he's got really, really good grappling. And you're always doubting that being a guy from Scotland, because in theory, I really shouldn't have this jiu-jitsu skill set I have grown up in Scotland and taking up the sport 10 years ago, when you consider people from Brazil are probably doing this for a very, very young age and are getting some high-level black belts. Like, only in the last 5 years has Scotland actually been giving out black belts to people in Scotland. So I think there was like 2 when I first started, 2 black belts in the whole of Scotland. And then when you think about it now, there's multiple black belts, so the skill set's getting much better. You're getting guys who are putting out lots more on social media, like Lachlan Giles, who has his meta. So all this kind of stuff helps me improve as an athlete. And as I said, you're down your abilities up against the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He did have sneaky moves with his feet. He was very, very technical. But one of the things my coach said to me was, he was like, don't turn this into a pure jiu-jitsu match. Don't have this as a gentleman's agreement where we'll just roll. You know, when we go to the ground, it'll be rolling. He went, make it ugly, be nasty, be horrible, drop the elbows. If he's holding one wrist, you double up and you blast him with your hand. And it showed that my style works. It's very effective in MMA as opposed to just being a straight jiu-jitsu guy.
I heard you reference this in the post-fight press conference, and I was wondering, I was like, man, we all, I think, to a degree, deal with imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? Should I be here? And you were talking about that as far as your jiu-jitsu is concerned. And I was like, man, does Paul Craig doubt his jiu-jitsu? Like, does he feel like he is worthy of the praise that he receives? Because we have often praised your jiu-jitsu, especially how good you are off your back. And it seemed like you have, like, people have been saying that has been your forte, and you in your mind have said, like, I don't know if I'm that good. You have dealt with imposter syndrome as far as your jiu-jitsu is concerned.
Yep, jiu-jitsu and MMA. As I said, 10 years in this sport, it's not a very, very long time. When you've got guys who are learning this, like, when I look at the guys in the gym now, and they're like coming to the gym when they're 10 years old and they're learning the sport. So I feel like maybe I'm not good enough. And it's always in there in the back of your mind, you know. And then it's like somebody will be like, Paul Craig's jiu-jitsu is fantastic. And then there's just that little creeping thing in the back of the mind says, aye, but who have you fought who's good at jiu-jitsu? Like Jamal Hill? Like, I'm not saying he's not a great jiu-jitsu practitioner, but at that point, everybody was writing off Jamal Hill's jiu-jitsu. So although I had this really, really effective jiu-jitsu submission over Jamal Hill, people were doubting it. And then I was doubting it. And then you then go see him put a pace on Glover Teixeira, who's one of the greatest jiu-jitsu practitioners in the light heavyweight division. And then that little bit of doubt in your mind then starts to subside a little bit. And then it's like, who have you beat, Paul? And you're like, well, I beat Jamal Hill. And then that little voice can then say, aye, but Jamal Hill doesn't have jiu-jitsu. Because then that voice then says, aye, but he does, because look what he done to Glover. A very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. And it's just that kind of stuff where you're having these internal battles with yourself. And it's part of the sport, and I imagine that everybody does it, and maybe not everybody speaks about it, but you're always going to doubt your abilities. You're always going to doubt, have you done enough? And I've found myself in the gym as well as in fights, like recalling moments. Like one of the things that we did at the PI was we did the 6 seconds alactic threshold test to show how much power you've got. Now, I set the record in the PI for that. So anytime I'm worried about, I'm going to gas, this is one of the things I bring up. Yeah, but you're the fittest guy in the whole UFC. Doesn't matter. You're the fittest guy. At 6 seconds, you set the record in the PI. And I've got all these wee kind of things that I say to myself to kind of stop these doubts for keeping in massively.
You also mentioned after the fight that you're not done at 205. Why would you even consider 205 if you had this great success at 185?
I believe, although the great success was 185, like I've still got victories over Jamal Hill, as I said, and Ankalaev, Krylov as well. Like some really, really tough names in that division. Like I can still hang with these guys. What was massive in this fight here was not only was it moving to 185, yet that played into a positive for me, but there was also the fact that I've now got a coach who is a phenom at striking. So he's now passing on this knowledge to me. And that was the reason why he's seen Paul a much better version of himself, because you're like, right, Paul can actually strike now. He looks a little bit more confident after 6 months of working with James. So 6 months later, what's he going to be like? What's his skill set going to be like for striking at takedowns? And the reason that takedown was so effective with the double leg against Andre Muniz was because I was able to set it up with strikes rather than taking a shot, a blind shot, and not putting anything in front of it. That's why I think 205 is still not done. Because if I can do that till 185 with 6 months of coaching with James Doolan, now what can we do with a year of coaching with James Doolan or 2 years coaching with James Doolan? As I've said previously, like my number was 35. That number's totally blown out the window now. I believe I'm going to be like closer to 45 by the time I finish. I love this sport, and as long as I keep getting better, I'm going to keep fighting. As long as I'm not losing my mind with regards to slowing down physically and slowing down mentally, I will keep doing this sport.
So your next fight, 185 or 205?
It's depending what the UFC. If the UFC come and say, listen, Paul, we've got a really nice fight for you at 205. And when I say a really nice fight, I don't care about, we've got an easy fight for you, Paul. That's not what I'm in. I'm not interested in having easy fights. What I'm interested in is having fearful fights that keep you, like, make you wake up at night and question, have you done enough? They're the fights I want. So, like, a fight against one of the top fives, like, listen, Paul, you're fighting against Prohaska. You need to be switched on when you're fighting him. They're the kind of fights I want. Like, even if you think, right, Paul, you don't deserve a fight with Prohaska or whatever you think I fit in that division, what I want is the kind of fights will take me closer to the belt, be it as a 185er or a 285er. And that's the same for 185. I'm only going to take fights that are going to progress me in my career. I still believe, and I know there's people out there probably thinking that, Paul, you're not a title contender, you're a journeyman or you're a gatekeeper, whatever it is you want to call me. I believe I've still got it in me. And the minute I stop believing that I'm going to be anywhere near that belt is the minute I'm going to step away from the sport. So as long as I keep believing in myself and believing that I'm going to have gold one day, and I'll keep doing it.
What if they ask you what you want to do? What would be your answer?
That's difficult because, there's really, really favourable fights for me in light heavyweight and there's favourable fights for me in 185. I know I had obviously mentioned that Bo Nickel was an interesting fight because I don't think a lot of people want to fight him. He's getting a bit of a name about him, right? He's not a ranked opponent, but it still sort of gives me an edge with regards to his wrestling ability and my jiu-jitsu ability. That kind of fight excites me. There's I love the Sean Strickland idea. Like, I know he's fighting for the title, but I just love the way he fights. Like, I'm a fan of how he fights. I might not be a fan of him as a person or his personality or what he's trying to sell as a UFC athlete, but I'm a fan of how he fights. Like, he's a wild man. He's ready to bang. That's the kind of fights I want to be involved in. I want to be involved in exciting fights as a pro. I want to have like some sort of legacy. Like Michael Bisping gets inducted to the Hall of Fame and everybody stands up and you hear his music. And that's what I want. I want that kind of legacy. I want to be like a champ. I want to be in the Hall of Fame. I want to walk up these stairs at the UFC PI and see a picture of myself and have like my record and all that kind of stuff. That's what I do this sport for. I don't do this sport for financial gain. Like, it's nothing. That thing's never ever focused me to be an MMA fighter. The reason I want to be an MMA fighter is because I was a loser as a kid. I was a loser as a teenager. I was a loser as an adult. I found something there where I could be a winner. And as long as I keep pushing them, I'm going to be a winner as an MMA.
What do you mean by loser? Like, how big of a loser were you? Like when you say loser, do you mean like just someone with no friends, or do you mean like a troublemaker, like someone who would, just do stupid things?
Not a troublemaker, as in like I wasn't like trying to shoot up MD, or I wasn't trying to like start fights in the street. I'm talking like a loser who, like, I have a close group of friends. I'm still very, very friendly with the guys I went to high school with. I've got two, like when I'm saying two high school friends, they're the guys who will message me, and no matter what's happening in my life, I'll always pick up messages to them because I've got loads of love for them. So it's stuff like like that's how much I lose with him, I'll tell you right now. Buying Lord of the Rings swords. Like I bought Galamring, the Lord of the Rings sword,
Okay.
painting figures, this kind of stuff. When I say a loser, I know people are going to be like, well, does that make me a loser because I'm doing that? What I'm meaning is I was never ever going to amount to nothing as a kid.
Okay.
I was never ever going to amount to nothing as a teenager. Never going to amount to anything as an adult, and I've found something where I can amount to something. And it's MMA. And if there's anybody listening to this and they feel the exact same way, you just have to find the thing that makes you and keep pushing. And the thing I found was MMA, and I found I was really good at it. So I'm going to keep pushing. I want to be a winner, as I said, to break that cycle of being a loser.
Do you think the UFC would do that Bo Nickel fight?
I don't know, because as the narrative goes, they obviously like what Bo Nickel's selling. They like the fact that he's this high-level wrestler, and he's getting people showing him massive amounts of love. So do you want to put him in with myself? Because although people might think, Bo Nickel would beat Paul Craig, but there's still that element of, but Paul Craig's quite sneaky. Paul Craig is a boogeyman anywhere he goes. Like, even when Paul Craig's meant to be getting beat in fights, he can sometimes just bring it back. So I don't think the UFC is something they'd be interested in doing if they're trying to build Bo Nickel as an athlete. I know the UFC probably don't want to go to build me. I'm 35. I sound like a broken record here. Like, just feel sorry for me, but you know what I mean? I'm 35. I'm coming to the end of my career. I'm probably not going to be the guy that's going to put their eggs in the basket. You know, there's young, up-and-coming guys who are going to try and push, and they're going to try and make superstars. That guy's not me. And that's probably why they won't give me that fight. I'm just going to, I'm a company man. I'm just going to wait and see who the UFC offer me. And that's how I've always.
We have seen people, enjoy success in the latter portion of their career. I mean, Michael Bisping is one as well who got the belt towards the end. So don't sell yourself short. You were one of the most popular fighters on the card. The crowd exploded for you. Everyone loves you. Everyone loves to follow you. And now also, by the way, you're transitioning to pro wrestling, as I said earlier. Are you the tag team champion for, let me get this right, is it ICW? Is it Insane Championship Wrestling? What is going on over here? I saw this other thing where you were like in this Royal Rumble thing. We're going to show it now. What is happening here? You're a pro wrestler? I didn't know about this.
So me and my teammate, Chris Bungard, as I said, we're on a podcast called Leather Podcast as well. And it's just something that me and him have always enjoyed. We've always enjoyed doing it. So he's my tag team partner. As I said, he is the Cage Warriors lightweight fighter, and he's got a fight coming up in the next few months in Newcastle. But it's just something we enjoy. So we're the ICW tag team champs. It's Scottish indie wrestling. Some of the guys like Drew Galloway came through there, and there's some big names who went from ICW to fight in the NXT. As I say, this is not like a career for me. I do stuff because I enjoy it, and I enjoy getting to spend time with Chris. So I got a guest spot to come on the Royal Rumble, and it was brilliant. It's exhilarating, and you really get caught up in the moment. And the fans are amazing. Like, you can see in my face like how much I enjoy this. And then me and Chris then went and fought against two studs who had the belt, and we ended up winning in a submission match, which is brilliant. So I'm going to keep doing that because now this fight's done with now, and then I think the next event's going to be, I think it's called Shug's House Party, because remember it's a Scottish wrestling organisation, and who knows, we're going to defend our tag team titles. Who knows if we win, lose or draw? It's going to have to be somebody who's deadly to take the belts off us.
You look like a natural out there. I saw you're doing like all the mannerisms, the moves. You're wearing the gloves. Did you take any classes, or was that all off the cuff?
It's kind of all off the cuff. It's just it's because I've watched it for so many years as a kid. what I did, they invited me, this was years ago, I'd not long been a UFC fighter, and I accidentally broke somebody's jaw. Not my finest moment. I was to punch him in the side of the neck, and as I hit him, it caught him right in the side of the jaw, and I snapped his jaw.
Oh my gosh.
I know, but that's wrestling. Sometimes bad stuff can happen in wrestling. And that's why I've got to be very, very careful leading into a fight, because something can happen. Maybe somebody slips, a move goes wrong, or maybe hurt the back of my neck. It might be like a cut, it might be something like that. So you've got to be very, very careful with regards to pro wrestling. But yeah, that was my first experience at pro wrestling. I had ended up accidentally breaking a guy's jaw. But this time now, as with my tag team partner, we're going to be a phenom in the wrestling world.
It's tremendous.
We need to have a faction name. We need like a tag team name. Right, I've got one.
Have you ever met Drew McIntyre?
No, I have not. I've not met him. But he's meant to be a lovely guy, and obviously he's Scottish, so we get behind our own. I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, he's tremendous as well. He enjoys MMA too, so that would be cool if you're able to meet him. By the way, I was going to ask you about Chris Duncan painting his face. Annoy you a little bit?
No, not really. I think it's like, I've mentioned it before. The only thing I didn't want to do was the 2 years walking out with face paint. And I just think it looks a bit silly, like the two is doing it. Like, one of you should really do it if we're on the same card, mate. But it's not one of these things. It's not like I'm waking up and thinking, fuck Chris Duncan, man, wearing face paint. Like, I don't own the rights to face paint. Like, Kuti Blaba's done it. Kamara Usman's done it. So it's not as if I own it. But I guess he's Scottish. He's proud of being Scottish, and everybody's a Mike Perry fan, and that's when it also comes to Mike Perry. So
that's incredible. P.T. Carroll told me that story last week. I had no idea that it came from Mike Perry. Mike Perry was the one who told you that you should paint your face, and that's why you do it.
He's absolutely wild, Mike Perry. Like the full story. Like he was because he's super intense, Mike. But the fact is, I'm walking down the street after having my face painted. This was in Sacramento. I'm walking down the street, and he's in like the hotel bar area, and there's a fire exit, and he kicks the door open. Like, as I'm walking down the street, he kicks this door open and he shouts, "Let's go, Scotland!" at the top of his lungs, right? But the fire alarm's activated because he's booted the door open, and behind him, he's standing in this doorway like this. The fire alarm's going off, making all this noise, and I'm like, oh my God, man, what's going on here? Because this is my first experience in the UFC. That was my very first. And if it wasn't for Mike Perry, we wouldn't have any crazy Paul Craig wins.
That is amazing. Scotland next year, what are you hearing? What are they telling you?
See, I would love Scotland. Now that we're starting to build a bit of a name for ourselves, as you were talking about just before I came on, I think they're maybe oversaturating the market in London. Twice a year is too much in there. And there isn't much better venues than London. I understand why they do London, because it's an easier hub to get to, but it's easy enough to fly up to Glasgow. As you said, Newcastle's an option. There's Ireland as well. But I think Bellator have got like a non-compete clause in Ireland, so they can't actually use the 3 arena. I heard talking about Liverpool as well. One of the reasons that Marks and Spencers don't want to have MMA in there is because if you let the UFC in, then you have to let every other promotion in. And there may be, obviously Liverpool, there may be some dodgy MMA coming around about the Liverpool area because of where it's situated. And that's why Marks and Spencers don't want MMA being allowed in there. It's not UFC, it's all MMA. And that's why they stopped them out. But Glasgow, the last time they were there, they blew the roof off the place. You remember them being like some of the greatest crowds that the UK have got. So why not? As I said, we've got like 4 fighters there, including myself, Chris Duncan, Joanne Calderwood, and Casey O'Neill. And who knows, we probably all could just do the face paint, everybody's just coming up into the ceremonial weigh-ins with face paints and bits of tartan. But I do believe there's opportunities to run a fight night in Glasgow. I can't see why not. Paul Craig at 185 headlining it is sounds good to me. Not even me. There's other people there you can put in there. It doesn't have to be a Scottish fighter that you put in there. It can be a UK fighter. And the Europe and UK talent now is just going through the roof.
And perhaps your teammate, Chris Bunger, could fight on that card as well if it happens in the next few months and he's able to go. Delighted for you, Paul. Congratulations on the win. You look fantastic out there. And I hope that this is the beginning of a nice run at 85. And as you said, I mean, you've got some pretty huge names on your resume at 205 as well. So I'm curious to see. You've got options now. You've got 205 and 185. So it's a great place to be. I'm so happy that you're back on track. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it very much. Enjoy the victory, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. I'll speak to you soon.
All right, there he is, the one and only Paul Craig. What a win for him, and what a scene it would be now with this, the success that he has had at 185. If he goes on a bit of a run, obviously they're not going to go to Scotland tomorrow or next month. But if he's on a bit of a run, as he mentioned, there's 4 solid fighters there from Scotland and others in the mix as well. Have a fight night in Scotland. I think the last one was it Michael Bisping against Talis Ladies? I'm pretty sure that was it back in the day. That was like 2000. Was it 2015? Scotland. Oh, 2017. Nelson Ponzinibbio. Talis Ladies was 2015. So there's been 2. Okay, yes. Nelson Ponzinibbio was 2017, July of 2017, around the same time. And then the Bisping one was also around the same time. I remember it was in the summertime. Yeah, July 18, 2015. That was a big one. That was like in the midst of the Michael Bisping renaissance en route to the big title win the following summer over Luke Rockhold. All right, we couldn't have done today's program without our next guest. What a moment, what a scene. I mean, I get chills just thinking about it all weekend long. The song has been just going on and on in my brain, replaying over and over again. I mean, it was just amazing. Everyone was singing it. Everyone was dancing, rejoicing. 364 days removed from that devastating, that heartbreaking knee injury. He comes all the way back. And like I said at the top of the show, they said, all right, it was a blessing in disguise. He needed the reset. It was bothering him. But that's a lot of talk. You wanted to see how he would actually look. And how did Tommy Aspinall, the future UFC heavyweight champion, look? He looked fantastic. 73 seconds is all it took against Marcin Tybura in a fight that some people, not me, some people are saying was made on this program. They can say it, I won't. What a scene, what a moment for our very own Tommy Aspinall, who is joining us right now. Oh, look at this man. If we were in the same room, I would hug you right now, Tom. I mean, just absolutely so happy for you. I wish I could give you a hug. I'm giving you a virtual, Tom. This is my virtual hug for you. How are you, my friend? Congratulations.
First of all, thank you for the hugs. More male hugging should be accepted way more in this world. I completely agree with that. I'll give you one straight back. But yeah, I'm feeling great. You know, I'm so happy. Like you say, I can speak about it all I want. I can cut promos left and right. I can speak to all these high media people and all the rest of it. But ultimately, I need to show everybody. And I feel like I showed people pretty good.
Oh, my gosh. So many questions. Paul, July 24th, 2022 was the Sunday after the Blades fight. What were you doing last Sunday, like a year ago, 366 days ago? What was that Sunday morning like for you?
It was one of the lowest days of my life, to be honest with you. It was, I was thinking about that today, actually. I was thinking about it earlier. And just the relief, I just feel that I think that's the ultimate thing that I feel right now is I'm just so relieved, you know, that everything went well. I knew, to be honest, that my body was in great shape. I knew that I had a great training camp. I knew that my mind was great and everything. But just with heavyweight MMA, you just never know. It's just so wild, this sport sometimes. Sometimes just one punch can just change everything. So I'm just so glad that everything went well. And I really, really believed in myself. And ask anybody that's had any kind of ligament surgery to do that 1 year after they've had surgery. Ask anybody. That is a really, really tough thing to do, especially with all the pressure that I had on me. Like, I had so much pressure on me, so many people doubting me, and I knew I could do it, man. I knew I could do it, and the people around me knew that I could do it. And just thanks to every single person that's helped me along the way. I really, really appreciate it.
I'm sure there were some people who were like, chin up, Tom. It'll be okay. You'll be back. You'll be better than ever. would you have believed them if they said, like, in a year from now, you'll be on the London show in July at the O2 and you're going to do something like that? It's going to be better than ever. Don't worry. Like, could you have even wrapped your head around that a year ago today?
No, not a year ago today. I couldn't wrap my head around anything, to be honest with you. I was a bit of a mess. I was a lot of a mess, to be honest, for a few months there. And yeah, I just was not in a good mental space. I was at the lowest point in my life right there. For a year ago today, and probably plus about 6-8 weeks, something like that. Yeah, I was in a very, very low point. And if anybody, like, I'm not trying to be like some inspirational guy, or like, that's not really my style, but if anybody can take any motivation and inspiration from this, anyone who's injured or they're at a low point in their life or whatever, you just got to try and believe in yourself. Just set yourself small goals and keep the dream big. Do you know what I mean? That's what I did. I knew that after a few weeks, I knew that I wanted to start coming back. To be honest, the fight that motivated me the most was I seen UFC Paris. I seen Tai Tuivasa against Sorogan. I seen the support that them guys were getting out there. And I watched that fight closely. And I remember, man, I couldn't even walk at the time. My leg was all braced up, and I had, because it's on European time. The fight was in France, and we don't get to watch it on European time very often. And I remember we had like a little UFC party at my dad's house. We had some friends over. My leg was all braced up. I was still on crutches at the time. And I'd not watched any MMA at all for weeks before then. Maybe months. I'm not sure exactly how long it was after the injury. I think it was about 8 weeks after my injury. And I was really off MMA completely at the time. I'd not watched it. I'd not been keeping up with it at all. And I remember just watching that fight and feeling the atmosphere in the arena, even through the TV, and thinking, you know what? I've been feeling sorry for myself for this long now after the surgery, and I can beat these guys. I know that I can. And I can feel, like I say, I can feel the atmosphere through the TV. And I crave that atmosphere. That's the atmosphere that I get at the O2 Arena. And I just thought, I'm going to be back, and I'm going to beat the winner of this. And that's why I want to fight Sorogan.
And you did that, and you look great, and I mean, you came back and you looked fantastic against Marcin Tybura. I'm just wondering, you mentioned this before and last week as well, but the thought of leaving the sport, like, how long did that period last? How long in your mind were you thinking, I'm done with the sport?
A couple of weeks, possibly, maybe less, maybe a week or so. I'm not sure, but I remember having a few conversations. I was actually reading it back on Fight Week, because I really wanted to remind myself a lot that, like, because I was feeling the pressure on Fight Week, to be honest with you.
Really?
As I always do on Fight. Yeah, of course. But even more so this time, I think. Even more so. I felt a lot of pressure. And I was reading back some conversations that I was having with friends and stuff, just on WhatsApp, texting back and forward with some close friends of mine. And a couple of times in messages, I would say, I can make money out of doing other stuff. Like that was, I said that in multiple messages to multiple people. I can make money doing other stuff. I'm not too worried about money and stuff like that, because people are asking me what I'm going to do in the future. And after a while, I just thought, you know what, why do I want to make money out of doing anything else? Like, I spent my life doing this sport. Just because I've got a bit of adversity, I can't just quit. Like, I absolutely love this sport. And on Saturday, I really got to remember how much I love it. And I'm on such a high right now that, honestly, I just can't wait to do it again.
You talked about the nerves, the pressure, more so than usual. And if so, why do you think that is? Is it just because of the layoff? Because you were hoping to really, like, make a point? Obviously, there was a lot of attention on you. Your headliner again, but can you compare that pressure? You're no stranger to headlining, so can you compare the feelings that you were feeling this time around as opposed to the last couple that you headlined?
There was a lot of factors going in, Ariel, to be honest. The headliner after an injury is a tough thing, and I actually had a lot of doubters this time. I've never had that many doubters and haters before. A lot of people thinking, I'm never going to come back from it. Obviously, I changed a lot of stuff in my personal life. I changed a lot of stuff with my training and stuff like that. And I wasn't sure, even though I knew it worked for me in training and fighting are two different things. Is that going to work in a live situation? Am I going to still be able to perform when something like that has happened to me a year before? I honestly didn't know, but I honestly really, really believe that, like, I am a special human being and I can really perform really, really, like, the more pressure that's on me, the better I perform. So, and I think I'm not as used to feeling it as I was. Like before I was really active, I was fighting like every 3-4 months, and then I had a complete year layoff. And yeah, I think just a combination of things made me feel the pressure a little bit more. But I thrive under pressure, man. Like I seriously, evidently, I thrive under pressure.
I'm not sure if we've talked about this before, but I heard you say that you felt like sick on fight day, and that reminded me of GSP. And then I was reminded of the fact that you love GSP, and I was like, oh wow, he has that similar thing where GSP used to feel sick on fight day as well, and then obviously would perform tremendously. How sick did you get on fight day?
Pretty sick.
Are we throwing up?
Like I was close to throwing up.
Wow.
Was close to throwing up, yeah. And it's, you know, the weirdest thing is I think I hide it really well, you know. I think that any of my team will tell you that, like, he wasn't even that nervous. He wasn't too nervous. And I actually had the UFC Journey guys with me for the full, they came for like 2 weeks in training camp, and then they came for the full fight week. And they were actually saying after, oh man, you look so relaxed. I've never seen anybody look so relaxed before. And underneath, I wasn't that relaxed, but I remember years ago when I was in a jiu-jitsu competition, a guy told me that the way you got to behave is you got to be like a swan. So you see the swan and he's gracefully moving around on the top of the water. There's nothing bothering the swan. There's absolutely nothing going on with him. He looks like he's cruising through so nicely. But underwater, you see his little legs panicking, like he's kicking as fast as he can. But on the surface, everything's good, everything's calm, everything's graceful. And that stayed with me. I got told that when I was like 12 years old, and now I'm 30, and I still remember it. I still remember the conversation clear as day. That's something that just a jiu-jitsu guy told me years ago, and it still sticks with me, and I still remember it every time I'm fighting now.
By the way, do you get sick at the hotel and arena, or like when you leave the hotel and you get to the arena, it goes away? Are you getting sick in the locker room? When does it actually go away?
I'm good to go at the arena.
Okay.
It's usually when I'm in the hotel. Yeah, usually when I'm in the hotel, I never know what to do. So especially like when I'm fighting in London, obviously I'm a UK guy, so I get support coming down. Like I get friends, family, all that kind of stuff coming. And they're obviously there on the fight day, and then I want to spend time with them, but then I don't want to spend time with them, and then I want to spend time on my own, and then I don't want to spend time on my own. But again, referring back to GSP actually told me something when we spoke, and he told me a little technique that he did. And I think I watched it in a documentary of his years ago anyway, or something like that. But he reminded me of it when we spoke. And he said that he has a way of like tricking his mind into being confident by the way his body is, if that makes sense. Like on fight day, he'll make sure that he smiles a lot. He'll make sure that he walks around with his head high and his shoulders back and acts confidently, and before he knows it, that kind of switches his mindset into tricking his mind to think he's confident and he's cool and he's calm and he's graceful and doing all this stuff. So I do the same. Anything I can do to mimic GSP in any way, the greatest fighter of all time, I will do that.
Well, you did it on Saturday, and I heard you say that you really thought it was going to be 25 minutes, Tom. Come on, you didn't really think that.
Yes.
What made you think it was going to be 25 minutes? You at your best against him at his best, with all due respect. It's just different levels.
Well, I've been following Tybura's career for quite a while now. I've obviously watched all of his fights because I'm fighting him. Most of his wins come by him getting punched in the face and the other guy getting exhausted. And he's took some massive shots off some massive punches, you know, and he doesn't go down a lot of the time. Like the guy is tough. He doesn't quit. And yeah, I was mentally preparing myself for 5. But you know, when I'm mentally preparing myself for 5, that's when I'm at my most dangerous, because I'm just like, people were saying how fast I looked and how powerful I looked. Mate, honestly, I was in first gear. I promise you, like I was in first gear. I wasn't trying to be fast. I wasn't trying to knock anybody out or anything like that. I was thinking it was going to be a 5-round fight, so I was taking my time.
Any part of you, because it's been such a long road back and you were in first gear and you were perhaps relishing to show off the new physique and the strength and the speed, that you wanted a little bit of more time out there?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't trying to knock him out. I wasn't trying to. Honestly, I wasn't. Like, the shots just came, you know, and as I said in my book, like, I'm so well trained. I've trained with so many good people over the years. I've been involved in martial arts, mate, since I was 8 years old. I'm 30 now. And just massive shout out to everybody and and anybody who's helped me over the years. Like I've got really, really good fundamentals and everything, and I see everything really well. And I think now I'm really maturing as a person and as an adult and as a fighter, and I can really see things now. I see things really well, and I'm really happy with the way everything's going.
That was the best moment of your career, right? Like there's no chance anything can come close to that, right?
Mate, by far. That was a must-win fight for me. That was a must-win, and I won it really, really impressively. And I met Louis Theroux. That was a big moment for me. I met Louis Theroux after that fight. I couldn't believe it. That was amazing.
Tom, like he's like my inspiration, right? Like he's one of my. Anytime someone asks me who my inspirations are in terms of interviewing, I say Howard Stern, who's a big deal in America, and Louis Theroux. I've watched everything. I listened to his podcast. I don't know if you've heard his podcast. And then I see you fanboying out to Louis Theroux out there. I was like, man, Tom and I, we have a lot more in common than I didn't know you were a big Louis Theroux guy. I thought you just liked his song, his TikTok song. That's all I thought.
I did like, well, everyone's getting onto his TikTok now, but I've been a Louis Theroux fan for ages. Like, I used to watch them weird weekends in America and everything that, like, whatever it was. Like, I even watched a Rita Ora documentary on him. I don't even like Rita Ora. I just like Louis. Like, he's Louis is the man. And you know what I love most about him is he's super good listener. He's super intelligent. And he's so intelligent that he can make a normal conversation awkward for the viewer's entertainment in a way that is fantastic for the viewer. Like the way he goes about asking questions is
the best.
It's honestly greatness. I said this to him when I met as well. I've honestly think I've watched every bit of content that he's ever put out, barring his podcast. I've not watched all of his podcasts, but every kind of documentary that he's been involved in, honestly, hand on heart, I think I've watched them all.
Wow. Did you know he was going to be there?
No, I didn't know. I had no idea. And I didn't even know, actually, he was sat, right behind, like, my corner. And because I do the crouch, like, the beginning of the fight, like, I start in a crouch position. He was literally, like, over my shoulder. I only noticed after, like, when I watched it back. But I was doing some interviews and stuff after the fight, like, doing a bit of media. And one of the UFC staff came over and said, Tom, Louis Theroux wants to meet you. Do you mind meeting him? And I was like, no, fuck off. No way. And they were like, no, honestly, he really wants to meet you. Do you want to go and meet him? I was like, I didn't think they were serious, honestly. I thought maybe I'd said it in an interview or something and they were trying to, like, I don't know, play a prank or something. I couldn't believe that I met Louis Theroux. Honestly, I'm still so excited about it.
That is amazing. I love that you're such a big fan of his. I adore him as well. I got a DM from him one time because Ant Evans, who used to work for the UFC, like tweeted something where he compared us. And I got a message from him and I was like, I can't believe Louis Theroux even knows that I exist. It was like one of the great moments of my life. So I share your admiration for him. And I would love to hear you on his pod. That would be a nice one. Any talk of that afterwards?
Maybe a little bit of talk of that, but it's nothing secured yet. But I would love, honestly, that would be the most exciting thing I've ever done. Probably that would be amazing. Like him and Gordon Ramsay, they're my two favorite celebrities ever. Gordon Ramsay and Louis Theroux. Absolutely love both of them. Absolutely amazing.
By the way, what was that show that you were on Friday? Quiz show or something? What is that show? You were the first MMA fighter. Is this some big British show? What is that?
Yeah, Question of Sport. It's quite big. It's quite big. It's actually really big in the UK. Yeah, it's a really the first ever MMA fighter to go on it. I am very privileged to do that. And yeah, it's a massive show. It's more like mainstream sports go on it. You know, tennis players, footballers, rugby players, stuff like that. And I was really, really happy to get invited on it. I was fucking terrible on it. I don't know anything about sports, but I think I brought the bants at least. I think maybe I brought a few jokes and stuff, but I got fucking no answers right. Absolutely none. My guy Joe Joyce was on there though. Joe Joyce was on the opposing team when I was on it, so it's pretty cool. I know Joe, and yeah, it was good. It was a good experience. I enjoyed it.
So here I am showering you with praise and love and admiration. I do have one small bone to pick with you, Tom. So I'm going to keep it 100 because I said this at the top of the show. But I do have, it can't all be just positive because then people are going to say I'm a Tom Aspinall shill. I loved everything about it. The performance, the fight week, the way you looked, the way you acted, everything, the win. And then you get on the microphone and you're killing it on the microphone. I mean, you're cutting promos left and right. But if I were to write the script, and this is what I want to ask you about, this is the one, it would have been you versus Sergey Pavlovich at MSG. And you're right under John Jones and you do what you're going to do to him. And then he wins. and then it's like, all right, I'm fighting that guy. Like you're in the same orbit, you're in the same building. Why did you go Gan Spivak, who you have beaten Spivak in relative, dominant fashion? Gan, I know you have, love for him and you'd like to fight him. It'll be a great fight. To me, Pavlovich is the one. Why didn't you go in that direction? Why'd you go Gan Spivak?
Well, I would agree with you on that, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I do see what you mean. I do see what you mean. But all week when I was in London, there was just a lot of talk about UFC Paris, so it's kind of fresh on my mind. Also, I'm doing my thing for VT Sport.
TNT Sports, by the way. TNT.
TNT Sports now. But yeah, I was doing my thing for VT Sport.
Right.
Now I'm hoping to do more things for TNT Sport.
Okay.
So I was thinking, Paris' European show, TNT Sport are going to be there. I want to do the pundit stuff again. I'm going to be there. Why not make a bit of a scene and throw me in the cage after, and we'll have a little bit of a standoff for the crowd. I thought that'd be a lot of fun.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking, to be honest with you. But Sergey Pavlovich, been matched up with him before a couple of times. Happy to take that fight too. Whatever.
Tom, I said top of the show, I'm actually more interested and more excited about the prospect of you versus Sergey Pavlovich than John Jones Stipe. To me, that fight, you versus Sergey, is the best the heavyweight division has to offer. Dare I say, I don't know if there's a non-title fight at the moment that excites me more than you versus Sergey Pavlovich. So I heard you say Sergey, and then you went left turn on me and you said Sergey Spivak, Cyril Gane. I was like, wow, we were so close. This is it. This is the fight. This is the one. And then maybe I thought, and I was going to ask you about it, maybe you want to save that for the title fight because eventually you guys are going to be in that. You're there already. So then I was like, okay, maybe he's saving it. But I just want the record to show you versus Sergey Pavlovich is the for me personally, that's the one. That's the one.
I mean, it would be good to save it for a title as well because I'm pretty sure that we're going to fight each other a couple of times. I think it's not going to be a one and done. Also, I'm going to partially put the blame on Michael Bisping for this one.
Oh, okay.
Because Michael Bisping told me that you should always try and fight the guy who just fought for a title and lost it. That's what the people want to see because he's like the next best in line. So I thought Cyril Gane's just fought for a title, lost it. If he wins, that'll be perfect. But I can see the look in his face right now.
Tom, this is horrible advice. What are you talking about? Why would they want to put the guy who just fought for the belt? What if something bad, God forbid, slip on a banana peel, he wins? They don't want to give him another title shot. That's Michael Bisping told you that? That's horrendous advice.
Ariel, I'm new to this calling out people stuff. It's not usually my style. I'm just trying to get myself a fight. I'm trying to secure the next move, and people wanted to hear it. People went wild when I started doing that. People were loving it.
No, I know. Well, they would have went wild for anything you would have said. Honestly, if you would have said, whatever, I want, a sausage for breakfast, they would have went wild for that too because they were loving everything you were doing. But MSG, to me, you got to be on MSG. Do you agree with it? I want you on the same card as those guys. You need to be right there, not as a backup fighter. You need to have the big time performance, and then you need to be top of mind when the winner is crowned, so that they don't walk away. That's the problem. I don't want the winner to walk away. I want you to fight the winner of that fight, not for the vacant title. You know what I'm saying?
I would definitely agree with that. I see exactly what you mean, and I'm not disputing that you're right. I'm just saying, for whatever reason, that was fresh on my mind for the week. But you know what? The way I see it is, we're all going to fight each other anyway. We're all going to fight each other anyway. Like, we're all youngish guys around our prime I think I'm way before my prime personally, but I think we're all going to end up fighting each other anyway. So the order doesn't really matter as much. But I see what you mean. You're a media guy, and you're obviously better than this stuff than me. So I'm just,
I've never steered you wrong. I've never steered you wrong. I also heard you say
you've not.
I heard you said you were happy that John acknowledged your presence. I didn't love the LOL. He had the tweet "sounds good" LOL. Thought the LOL was a little bit demeaning. I would have liked the "sounds good" LOL. To me, was a bit of a shot. Your thoughts?
I'm just putting it out there. John Jones, a patronising guy. I think he's trying to patronise me.
Yes.
How dare he patronise me? How dare he? I don't know. Whatever. But that's the fight that's my dream fight. So I'll do whatever I can to get that.
That's the dream fight. Number one, top of the list, you versus John Jones.
Of course.
How in your mind, what's the prediction?
What with him and Stipe?
No, you and John.
Well, he's fought a lot of quicker guys before. I don't mean quicker than me. I mean quicker than most heavyweights.
Mm-hmm.
Being a light heavyweight, obviously. But he's never fought someone quicker than a light heavyweight who's bigger than him before, who is super confident with big fight IQ, who's not intimidated, who's young and fresh, not loads of miles on the clock, and brings something different. And that's what I think I bring to the table against John.
So the official prediction is...
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the prediction. I think I'm dangerous from everywhere, to be honest. And I think I have to touch you once. I have to touch... Like, you can see, like, look what just happened. And I know Tybura and John Jones are two different people. I'm completely aware of that. But if he's a human being, I have to hit him one time at speed that he doesn't see. And I'm really capable of doing that. So to answer your question, I think I can knock him out.
Wow. Would you be disappointed if he walks away before fighting you or Sergey?
I mean, I'd be disappointed, but it wouldn't ruin my life. I'm trying to get the belt. Like, ultimately, I'm trying to get the belt, and it doesn't really matter who's. That would just be a nice little cherry on top if I was to get to beat John Jones as well.
Mm-hmm. And fighting at MSG is something, I mean, maybe not a dream, but that's got to be up there, right? I mean, that's pretty damn cool to get out of Europe and fight in one of the iconic venues in the world.
It's definitely up there. I mean, you're a New York guy. I know you're not from New York, but you live there, don't you? So what does it mean? What does it mean to New York? It's pretty big over there, isn't it?
It's huge. It's huge, yeah. Iconic. World's most famous arena, the Mecca. And then you could come in studio that week. It would be fantastic.
So you're spinning this on the selfish note now?
No.
Really? So you basically just want me in studio. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it'd be nice.
Yeah, I know. There's definitely been talk about you not paying up in the past.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that you're that guy. I'm just saying there's been talk of it in the past.
What, you're so big now that you're gonna start charging for interviews?
Absolutely not.
This doesn't go well. I just want to let you know. Spoiler, it doesn't go well when you start doing it.
I do not want to get 10-7. I don't want to get 10-7 by anybody.
No, I like, you responded right away. I was like, oh, here we go. He's back. He's probably going to tell me he wants a week off. He needs some time. He's not going to do media, this and that. I know you don't love the media stuff. You've come a long way, but you responded right away. In fact, you said it yourself that the fight was made on this show, which I don't want to take that credit, but you gave me that credit. So I want to thank you for that.
You'll take credit anywhere, I think. But to be honest, credit is due this time, and it was definitely made on this show. And we made it pretty smoothly. And Tybura's a good guy. He's got a great team around him, great group of people. To be honest, I never fought somebody that I really liked before. It's not that I disliked anybody, but I was just always like indifferent to him. I didn't really know him, but him and his team are really, really like solid human beings. And I've never really apologized to anyone to this before, but I actually apologized to him and his team that it had to be him. But if it's him or me, it's got to be him. Do you know what I mean? I've got a family to feed. I've got dreams that I want to achieve, and if it's him or me, it's got to be him. But I really like him as a human being. Like, I think we were friendly before, and I hope that we can be friends after as well. Like, he's a really good guy.
By the way, did you apologize before or after?
After.
After. Where did you see him?
Well, I seen him in the octagon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to chat to him afterwards a little bit. But I had like I said, the UFC Journey guys with me, the camera crew, where they were like at the after party. And I didn't want to do it for the cameras. That's not really, if I want to do something genuinely, I want to do it for genuine reasons, not show up with a load of cameras when he's feeling sorry for himself and stick all them in his face. So I just asked I seen his coaches, and I just said, oh, like, what's he doing? What's he up to? And they said, oh, he's just in the room. I think he's going to go sleep. So I just said, okay, just, speak to him for me and just tell him that, I really like him, and I'm sorry that it had to be him, kind of thing. Because to be honest, I'm at my best now. I'm at my best. I'm by far better than I ever was before. And it's just a shame that he had to fight me when I'm like this, because I think on Saturday night, there's nobody that could have beat me. Nobody.
Two last quick things. So you seemed a little hesitant, Team BFG. You don't love it. I love it. I think it's great. I mean, you guys had a great week. What's the trepidation here? I think it's nice. It's catchy. It's friendly. What's happening?
I quite like it, I quite like it. It's growing on me. It's quite corny, though. I don't know about the corniness.
No, it's lovable.
you know what? None of us are like that kind of guy when we're trying to be like these gangster MMA fighters, but that's just not our scene. We are friendly, big guys, and there's a lot of us. And Team BFG have gone 3-0 in the last week. Phil DeFries won his fight last week. Mick Parkin won his fight in London on the same night as me. Had a great debut, and then obviously I won my fight. So we're doing great. Phil DeFries is absolutely insane, by the way. The guy, I've never seen anybody before. A guy. So at the moment, he's put a bit of weight on since his fight. He's a massive guy anyway. He must be close to 300 pounds at the moment. He's a big guy, 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds. I've never seen a man that size catch a pigeon before in the street.
That's real? He really did that?
He caught a couple of pigeons. He's done it more than once.
That's crazy.
He catches pigeons, walks around showing everybody, and then just throws it up. It's absolutely wild. I can't wait for everyone to see it. We've got videos of it. We've got videos of him doing it on a few occasions. The guy is insane.
That is unbelievable. Well, shout out to PT for that. He came up with the name, so he deserves the credit. I like it for whatever it's worth. You seemed a little bit hesitant on Saturday when you were asked by one of the reporters, Andy Stevenson. I think it's nice. I think it really sort of it tells the story of who you guys are and what you're all about. You're just a bunch of big, friendly giants. I like it very much. Last thing, this time next year, are you UFC champion?
Yes. Yes. Do you know why?
Why?
Because the time off showed me a lot of truths about myself. I had a lot of time to think about exactly what I want and exactly what I want to do and how I'm going to go about it. And it's going to sound corny, but I really, really welcome greatness now. I feel like before, I maybe had a little bit of imposter syndrome. I was just enjoying the ride and stuff. Like, mate, for example, I got on the microphone on Saturday, and it wasn't like, oh, maybe you can give me a shot of this. It's like, listen, this is what I'm doing, and this is the way it's going to play out, and I'll stick to that. And that's how I run my life these days. So even like, for example, so on the weigh-in day, last time on the weigh-in day, I wanted to get in the octagon and move around a little bit and just feel it, because the octagon feels a little bit different to like a training cage and stuff. And I walked up to one of the UFC staff and said, just letting you know, I'm going in the octagon now. It's because I want to feel it. This was on the weigh-in day. And she was like, no, you can't. And I was like, no, I'm going in. So I'm just letting you know, you're going to have to get someone to stop me going in physically, if that's what's going to happen. And then she told me to speak to the security guy. So I walked over to the security guy and I said to him, look, just let you know, I'm going in the octagon. And he's like, no, you can't. We're not allowed to let you in today. I said, all right, you can stop me then. You can try and stop me, but I'm going in because I need to feel it under my feet now, right now. I've not got a chance to do it tomorrow. I need to feel it right now. I need to visualize what I'm going to do tomorrow, and I'm going in. So you do whatever you can to make it happen. But if you're not going to make it happen, I'm going in regardless. So you're going to have to stop me. Anyway, he did a few phone calls, and it was okay that I went in. But that's just the way. That's just an example. That's just the way I'm going about stuff these days. Is I'm getting what I want, and I'm forcing my way through it. Whereas before, I was a little bit too happy just to sit on the fence a little bit, to be the nice guy and do all that stuff. Mate, I'm still a nice person. I'll still treat you good if you treat me good, and I still give off positive energy and love to everybody. But I'm going for what I want, mate. And what I want is I spent my life doing this sport. I've spent my life working towards being the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, and I'm going to knock everyone down who's in my way. Simple as that.
I love that. And by the way, I said that was the last, but I just have to ask the follow-up. Did someone lead you to start thinking that way? Like, did you talk to someone or is that something you figured out on your own?
No, this is all from my dad. This is my father's thoughts, because I like to think, I'm a nice person. I really like to think that. And I like to think that I show everybody love and I treat everybody nice and I have got good karma and stuff like that. But there becomes a point, mate, where you can be too nice that it's taking away some of your own, your own respect for yourself. Like, I felt like I was compromising constantly on what other people want. And I think that this time off really showed me that I can't compromise on stuff anymore. Like, if I want something truly, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks or what anyone else is doing. Or, like, I've got to say, fuck everybody else. I'm going for what I want. And if you're with me, you're with me. And if you're not, you're not. And, me and my dad, we had a lot of chats over it. And he told me that I should have been like this a long time ago. But obviously it takes something bad to happen to really start to make some changes. So I'm really like that injury. I was saying this all week, like pre-fight. And I could see a lot of funny looks coming my way thinking, what is he talking about? But that injury was by far the best thing to ever happen to me in my life. And obviously, I'm talking about career-wise. I've got children and everything, so obviously they're the best thing. But career-wise, that was the best thing that's ever happened to me because I just put my career first now in everything that I do, and it's paying off.
I didn't mention this, but another thing that I loved, you said, don't say welcome back, because that would imply that it's the same guy coming back. This is a new version. So hello to you, the new Tom Aspinall 2.0, if you will, perhaps even 3.0. Well done. Really, really so happy for you. Great performance. And I'll see you in a few months here in New York City when you're fighting Sergey Pavlovich at Madison Square Garden. You're the man, Tom. Love you.
Thank you, mate.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
There he is, the great Tom Aspinall. How great is that? I mean, what's better than that? Tremendous stuff. Do we have I heard like a doorbell ringing over there.
Yeah, we have a guest who was a little extra early.
Okay, we're good though?
Yeah, we're great. How's the beverage?
Oh, it's very hot in here.
Hmm.
I'm sweating. Is everything okay over there?
Everything's great.
By the way, can I get some sort of credit recognition for the fact that I think I just convinced him to change his call out? Anyone?
Yeah.
notice
Is that when you called him Paul at the beginning of the interview?
I called Tom Paul?
Yeah. Any credit you got taken away.
Yeah,
when you called Paul.
I kept thinking at any moment you're going to ask him a question. He's like, you know what? You don't even know who I am. And then
Wait, I called him Paul Craig at the beginning of the interview.
No, you didn't call him Paul Craig. You said, let's get into it, Paul.
What?
Yeah.
I did not say that.
Yeah.
Okay, just two of us are wrong.
Big pop back here in the control room when it happened.
By the way,
we had to lose the bug.
Stop it. Lots going on. You guys could tell me when I make a mistake.
We're going to interrupt the interview.
Happens, yeah.
This is actually Tommy, Ariel.
I actually don't think that happened.
Okay. So
Why
would we make this up?
And I don't love that it's coming out in this way. Like, I feel very embarrassed right now. I feel...
Well, you can save yourself with Lerone Murphy calling him by the proper name.
Do you think he noticed that?
Oh, yeah. He's definitely aware.
He is aware.
No, stop it.
Why would you not tell me this?
I am telling you.
I'm actually sweating right now, by the way, for the record. Like it's like pouring out of me. Why is it so hot in here?
You're wearing a long sleeve shirt.
Okay, is our next guest here?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, he's been here. He just heard all this.
Oh, God. Lerone Murphy, the Miracle. Big win for him. Birthday boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
1991, baby. Tremendous. Had a big win on Saturday against Josh Culibao. I actually wanted to look at the order of things. Yeah. I mean, it was coming after 3 straight losses, and then he comes in by someone from the UK, and then he comes in and has the dominant, emphatic win over Josh Culibao. Let's not make him wait any longer. Here he is, Lerone Murphy. Hello, Lerone. How are you, my friend?
What's happening, Ariel? I'm all good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Congratulations on the win. Great performance, dominant performance out of you. By the way, where are you right now? Are you on the side of a highway? That makes me very nervous.
I'm just parked up. This is the only place to get some peace, so I'm just parked up.
Okay,
chilling.
all good. That reminds me of that song. I keep listening to it, Sprinter. You know Sprinter? You're in your own version of Sprinter. You know that song?
No, I don't know it. Who by?
Come on, you don't know? That's like the song of the summer in the UK. The UK by CD and Dave something, Sprinter. I
Probably know the song, I don't know the name.
Come on. Wow, I thought you were done. You don't like UK rap?
I listen to old school, like Tupac, kind of. That's my vibe.
That's cooler. Respect. All right, fine, fair enough. By the way, did you notice that? Like, it was like 3 straight losses, and it felt like the crowd was kind of like, they were sort of losing a bit of their edge, and then you came in and you're like, no, we're back on track. Did you pay attention to that sort of thing? Like, I need to get us back on track. Obviously you're thinking about winning your fight, but it was interesting that it came after 3 straight losses by UK fighters.
Yeah, I seen that a lot of our guys lost, but I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about my job, really and truly. So it's good that I come out and got us back on track. But yeah, man, it was sad seeing the boys lose at home.
Yeah. What did you make of the crowd this time around? Did you feel like they were a little more subdued as opposed to some of the other ones?
Yeah, it wasn't the same as the pay-per-view card. It wasn't nowhere near the same vibe as that. Even though I thought higher up the card, it wasn't as loud as before.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, obviously obviously when you've got title fights on the card and a big card like the last one, the crowd are more up for it. And obviously, like you said, we're coming off three losses. There's a lot of losses. It's just a different type of vibe, man. I don't know. It's still good. I still enjoyed it, but it's a different vibe.
Do you think that it's time that they venture out of London, maybe go to some other cities?
Yeah, for sure, man. They need to come to Manchester. They could even go to Liverpool, Birmingham. I feel like London's they've been there 3-4 times in a row now. So it's like they need to go other places. It's expensive as well for people to travel and stuff like that. So I feel like that's playing a part. The last 3 times people would have forked out £400 and odd for a ticket and whatnot. So it's like they're not going to go to. No one can afford that like 2-3 times a year. Do you get what I'm saying? So it'd be good to get to Manchester.
What about for you? It's been a lot of Abu Dhabi and then a lot of London. Are you ready to branch out?
Yeah, I was saying that in my post-fight interview. I want to travel the world as well. Obviously, I want a home fight. That's my dream, to fight in Manchester. But I want to travel the world. I'd love to go to Brazil, the States. I've not done the States yet. Places like Singapore, all over that type of side of the world. I want to start traveling now.
Manchester has had some great crowds in the past, and now with yourself and Tom Aspinall and a bunch of others, have you heard anything about their plans or their desire to go to Manchester next year?
I've not, but I feel like it's going to happen now. They're building a new arena in Manchester as well, so I heard that's going to hold 30,000 people. So that's more of an incentive to go over. Obviously, Tom Aspinall could fight for the title now. We've got the Scousers that are just 20 minutes down the road. Birmingham's just there, an hour away. So we're right in the middle. Let's put the show in Manchester.
By the way, I don't know if I've ever asked you this. I wasn't really into it back then. Are you a United guy or a City guy?
United. I'm a Red.
Oh, you're a Red. Tough times for you lately. I mean, not a great season. How do you feel about this?
We'll get back on track.
Yeah?
We always do. Yeah. We always do.
You like Rashford? That's your guy?
Yeah. Rashford's a killer. We need some of that Saudi money so we can compete and then we're good.
That's what everyone needs, right? That's it. You see what they're offering Mbappe?
Crazy. 256 mil.
Insane. Over $1 billion American. For 1 year. And then he could just walk away.
1 year?
1 year, yeah.
I didn't even see that. That's crazy. I should have been a footballer.
Yeah. Did you ever play as a kid?
Yeah, I used to love football. But obviously it just wasn't good enough. But yeah, I used to love football.
Well, it's working out for you in MMA, undefeated. You fight on your birthday. By the way, did you like that? Did you like that it was your birthday, or did that bring like a different level of stress? I don't know.
Yeah, do you know what? I didn't read too deep into it, to be honest. I didn't read too deep into it. But obviously, fight day is never a pleasant day, really, for me. You're just chilling in the hotel, waiting for time to tick, waiting to go to war, really. So I didn't really look too deep into it, but it was a nice birthday present to get the W.
I was thinking about this. You have been through so much. You have overcome so much, all well documented. And so like a fight for you, does it, like Tom was just telling us, he gets sick before the fight. And not to say that he hasn't been through his own, trials and tribulations, but like you've been shot in the face. You've been hit by a car. Like a lot of stuff has happened to you. So a fight is like a walk in the park to a degree. Do you get nervous like everyone else, or because you've been through all this stuff, maybe it doesn't affect you the same?
I feel like everyone gets nervous. It's a natural reaction to get nervous. And if you're not nervous, you got something mentally wrong, because you're going in there with another trained killer to fight in front of a crowd in some mini shorts, half naked. It's like everyone gets nervous, and if I'm not nervous, I'm worried. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, we do get nervous, but at the end of the day, I know that nothing worse can happen to me, really and truly. Do you get what I'm saying? So it is what it is at the end of the day.
How much do you think about the undefeated part of your, because sometimes that could bring a level of pressure and stress as well.
I'm not bothered about that, to be honest.
Really?
I'm not bothered, and I know at some point if I do take an L, I know it's just part of the journey, and I know the end goal. I know that will make me push harder. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm not really too deep into it, man. Obviously, I want to win every time, but I don't really read too deep into this undefeated stuff. This isn't boxing. This is MMA.
Okay, fair enough. Were you expecting the fight to be, for lack of a better, like it felt one-sided? You know, there were 230-26, third round. You really poured it on. The other judge had a 30-27. Like, it never seemed like you were in danger, that it was in doubt. Were you expecting that?
To be honest, I didn't go. The plan wasn't to wrestle, but I felt there was a point in the fight where I felt I'm a lot stronger than this guy. This is my route to victory. There's a transition on the ground, and I thought I took his back, and I was like, this is easy. It's easier than I thought on the ground. So I thought that's my route to victory. So I thought it would have been a back and forth striking battle more so. We both got a similar style, so I feel like we was both at a weird range where nothing really happened, nothing really significant landed, other than in the clinch, really. So the fight went a lot different than I imagined anyway.
Did you think you were close to finishing him in the third?
100%. When that liver kick hit, I seen his eyes, like he was close to. I just needed to land one more clean shot, and then the dash choke. I should have finished the dash choke 100%. I rushed that finish a bit, but it was tough, man. Props to Josh. It was tough. A lot of other fighters would have rolled over. I've seen it. I've been there, and a lot of fighters take a few shots ground the pound and they roll over. He didn't.
I saw your post-fight scrum with the media, and very clear that you had no interest in talking about Nathaniel Wood. You didn't want to go there at all, and I understand that it's gone to be a lot. But the week kind of started with you and Nathaniel Wood in the hotel, and so I apologize for asking you about it. But if you don't mind, I just want, what led to that little, for lack of a better word, confrontation, tete-a-tete that you guys had there that was caught on camera, and who filmed that?
I think the UFC filmed it.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. The UFC or somebody who was with him. It wasn't none of my guys anyway. But obviously, as you might have seen, we had a bit of back and forth over Twitter and Instagram because we were supposed to fight. He pulled out. He started tweeting. I started responding, and we just went back and forth. But obviously, I've seen him in the hotel, and for me, it was like, everyone sees life as two different worlds, like this internet world and then the real world, and then people will talk shit on the internet and walk past you in real life. Like, come on, bro. Like they're both combined in some way. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I seen him, I just thought I had to say something. I asked him what he's saying and whatnot, and then we just had a little argument, nothing too deep, and then that was it. At the way, and he come up to me and saying, "Oh, the media's trying to twist it, whatever," and it's just nothing, man. It's not as deep as people are going on. It's just some internet stuff. But like I said, anyone in the division is food to me. I'll fight any one of them.
Just curious, if you wouldn't have gone up to him, do you think he would have walked past you?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
And that bothers you to a degree, right? Because if you're what you're saying is, if you're going to talk on Twitter, then let's talk face to face.
Yeah, it don't bother me because I know what people are like in this day and age. I know that everyone's got a different persona online, innit? So it doesn't bother me like that. But I'm not going to talk shit to you online and then walk past you in real life.
And what is the what is the genesis of whatever issue you have? Is it just that you were going to fight and he had to withdraw, or is there something even deeper than that happened before?
Listen, I know the MMA game, and I know that people get injured. It's part of the game. People get injured. It was that he started coming out. Say, firstly, he put on this. I would have put on a masterclass on the Instagram when he pulled out. That's not my issue. I just responded to that saying, "Come on, bro, laughing faces," because we've always messaged each other. We've always been cool before this fight was made. Well, for me, it's like, have some respect, bro. Just if you pull out, just stay quiet. And then after I fight, I get a new opponent. After I fight, maybe you can say, "Oh, I feel like I would have done this, I would have done that." Just let me do my camp and stay quiet. Have some respect. And that was my issue, really. And then he started talking about we have mutual friends, and my mutual friends feel like he would beat me and whatnot. And I'm saying, bro, there's nobody that will tell you that. You're deluded, because everyone I spoke to thinks I would smoke you quite easily. Do you get what I'm saying? And obviously, had all come from one guy that fell out with me. That's going back to it's just mate. It's
a lot
awesome.
of drama.
Handbag.
The impression I get from you is that you don't really love the trash talk drama side of the game.
No, I'm not into it, man. I'm more of I'm a fighter, innit? I'm not really a talker. I'm a fighter. But obviously, I'm gonna respond. If you're tweeting about me, I'm gonna respond, innit?
But is there a part of you that kind of wrestles with that? Because as you know, like that stuff sells, right? The trash talk, the drama. So do you feel at some point you have to embrace it more? I mean, look at this. Like people keep asking you about this because there's drama and there's some heat there.
Of course, I understand the game in it, and I understand that this fight has sold itself now because of what's happened. People want to see it. I understand it's entertainment, but I'm not gonna try and be somebody else. I'm always gonna be myself. I'm not gonna try and be somebody else. So if somebody wants to talk shit to me, I'm gonna talk shit back. But I'm not gonna. I'm saying I'm not gonna go out my way to say this and that, because that's never been me.
Did you watch his fight on Saturday?
I seen bits and glimpses because they was kicking us out of the arena very, very quick. But I seen the first round and a bit of the second. What do
you think?
It went exactly how I thought it would go. To be honest, I thought it would take shots from Feely, big shots. I thought he would get dropped a few times or knocked out. He done well to stay in the fight. He's got heart. Everyone knows he's got heart. He's a fighter. He's tough, and he stayed in the fight and he come back. So props to him.
So is that the biggest fight for you next? Considering the backstory? Yeah. Did I insult you?
On,
Did I insult you?
That's on my name, bro.
I mean, there's some
I've won 5 fights straight.
You don't know, I get it.
I'm one draw, 6 fights in the UFC. I'm 13 and older. Have to give me top 15 now.
Okay.
They have to.
So you want?
I'm not taking anybody else over them top 15. Check that one out.
So if they offer you him now and he's not ranked, you're not interested?
I'm not interested.
Okay. Is there someone that you're interested in?
Do you know what? I probably would. I'm lying. I probably would. Only him. Only him.
To settle it?
Him. Yeah, because I feel like as a fighter, we've talked shit. I've got no problem with him. I've got no beef with him like that. But because as a competitor, we've gone back and forth. He still thinks he's better than me. I believe I'm better than him. But we can settle it. We can settle it one day. We will settle it one day.
Okay.
I think.
Top 15. Anyone come to mind?
Well, I feel like I wanted to fight Caceres. He's a good fight. He looked good in his last fight. He's number 15. I thought I'd start there, but I heard that he's booked, so I don't know.
But you want one of those names. You feel like it's time to get let's get rolling now, right?
Bro, like I said, I'm 13 and 0. I've had 6 fights in the UFC. I want to take some big risks.
Yeah.
I want to be the underdog. I want to go into a fight and just take the risk. I don't care. I don't care about the result like that. I want to go and take the risk and see how good I really am.
And also a little consistency, right? Like now I feel like you're fighting. Like when's the last time you had 2 fights in a year? Maybe could we get even 3 this year? Is that even possible?
That's what I'm aiming for, 3 fights. That's what I said at the start of the year. I'd love to have 3 fights this year. I stay in the gym all year round, but it's like before this car accident, it's like I was training every day and training hard, but I wasn't in the mindset of let me take a fight here, let me take a fight here, let me always be ready for a fight. Which now I understand that this thing can end at any moment, any given moment. So I have to be get busy and the time's now.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm thinking now.
We're not going to show it because I polled the guys in the back and they were like, oh, it's a little too gruesome. But your manager, Danny Rubenstein, sent me the video of you after you got hit. Man, it looked like your head was, it looked like your brain was leaking out of your head. This is insane that you survived this. And I know you survived. That is crazy. the gash. How many stitches did it take to close that up? That was it. Actually looked like someone cut your head open and everything was just pouring out. That's how gruesome it looked. I'm telling you, you survived it. You've probably seen that clip before. This is insanity what you've been through.
No, it was crazy. It was crazy. Like I'm lucky it happened where it happened, because if it would have happened on like a little dark street, the guy would have got off. He would have drove off, and two, nobody would have been there to help me. And luckily, somebody come out of the house with a towel and like stopped the bleeding.
Oh,
like,
wow.
you know what I mean? And that's what saved me. And yeah, so yeah, it was bad. And obviously the ambulance took 45 minutes to come.
Fuck.
And I was just there, sat on the floor thinking, I'm done, I'm gone. And luckily, I'm still here.
Wow. And whatever happened to that guy who hit you?
I don't know what happened to him, but
Wow.
it's one of the things, in it. It's classed as a road accident. Like, it's not a criminal. It's not. You know what I'm saying? It happens, and it probably just didn't see me. Oh, I don't know.
How fast was he going?
I can't even judge the speed because he was coming towards me, but he was turning right, so he was going fast, but not crazy fast.
Okay. Were you wearing a helmet?
I wasn't.
Now you do? Do you ride a bike now?
I ride no bikes. I ain't riding no.
You're
bikes.
done.
Yeah, I'm done. It's too easy. It's too easy. Like, you're not in control of traffic. So
Yeah.
And you bike, you got no protection. Like, even if you're wearing a helmet, it doesn't matter.
So since then, you've never been on a bike since then?
Indoor, what bike? That's it.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. Even when you go on that, does that bring back bad memories?
Nah, not on the what bike, but outdoors. Yeah, I won't go on the bike outdoors.
Okay. And any ill effects from that at all? Like, do you feel like there's any bumps and bruises, or you're all good?
Not now. I'm back to normal now, but I did have like post-concussion syndrome for a long time.
Yeah.
That lasted a while, and like I was depressed for a good maybe 6 weeks. I was indoors, and luckily I had good friends that come pick me up and took me out to go for walks and whatnot, because it was a dark time.
Wow.
I was just having a conversation then before my mum, like I was just saying, like, this time last year I was in these night and day to not, like, now.
Yeah.
And last year I was like down, and you know what I'm saying, down and out almost, and I brought myself back out. I've had 2 fights. I'm back on top. I feel like I'm on top of the world now.
Did you even watch UFC London last summer, this time last year? Could you even watch it?
I did, and that's what hurt me even more, because I'm watching everyone have success. I feel like I think they give everyone a bonus that night as well. That was a crazy night. Good on all the guys. I was happy for everyone, but I was just sat there thinking, nah, this should be me.
Yeah,
this should be me. I'm here because some guy wants to knock me off my bike.
And what did you do to pass the time, like when you were in your house?
Well, I had the concussion syndrome, so I couldn't even play my computer. I usually play PlayStation console, but you can't say you shouldn't play games and stuff like that. So it's just like pretty much just watching TV, being a bum, just sat there eating food, getting fat.
Damn. By the way, your manager Dan Rubenstein said he whooped your ass in FIFA on PS something. Was this guy talking shit? What's happening? He said, "Make sure you mention that I whooped his ass."
Listen, do you know what do you guys call the goals where you run and you pass the ball across the net and knock it in?
I don't know. Is there a term for that? What do you call it?
The term, but we just call them kind of people low. They're the low. They're the people.
Oh, he's like cheap. He's doing like cheap goals.
Bro, that's all he scores. Knocks him across the goal.
No talent.
Dirty. He's dirty.
Did he beat you?
I can't remember. Yeah, he beat me. But I did 4-0 him as well.
Oh, okay.
I did beat him.
In the rematch or before who won the last one?
He won the last one.
He probably played with City, right?
Yeah, I can't remember who he was, to be honest.
You were probably United losing.
I wasn't. I was like,
damn it,
like a random team. I can't remember. Bayern Munich or something. But he was Bayern Munich.
By the way, was this during fight week?
Yes. So this is another thing I got to bring up. Listen, I just done my weight cut earlier. Yeah. I've gone upstairs. I'm drinking my drink. I'm trying to get my salts in my body. My hands are cramping to death like this, and he's calling me out to play. I can't even speak. I'm like this on the bed, and he's calling me out to play.
That's whack. First of all, the manager should be trying to build you up, your confidence. He's trying to beat you at your lowest when you're dehydrated and stuff. That's not cool.
This is what I'm saying.
Full strength. You do it this week. You whoop his ass. 6-0.
100%. He knows that.
By the way, who's on your T-shirt there? Is that Marlon Brando?
This is the Godfather T-shirt.
Yeah. Why? Just because that's Marlon Brando, legend.
Yeah, I like the film.
And what are you wearing around your neck?
This is an energy stone. It's black kyanite.
Okay.
Wear this every day.
What is it supposed to do?
It's supposed to be like an energy protection kind of thing.
Okay. Like the good energy, good vibes, positive.
Right, good vibes, yeah, positive.
Okay. Well, I saw you tweet. We haven't seen your super saiyan ability just yet. And have we seen it after Saturday or not just yet?
Bro, it's mad because I was having this conversation with my coaches in the corner, man. Yeah, it's like, I still don't feel like I'm performing to my best. I was 50% in there on Saturday, and that's no disrespect. I was 50% in there.
Really?
On Saturday. My team know what was what. Everyone knows what was what. I was 50% in there, and it's like I'm still beating people, and I don't feel like I'm performing to my best yet. I feel like I've got another level to unlock.
Wow. And you're not just beating. 30 to 26. You're getting 10-8s out there.
Yeah. I feel like I should. I'm a bit disappointed. I feel like I should have finished the fight. But saying that, I'm happy I got a dominating win. But I feel like I should have finished it, man. I wanted to finish.
Well, next one. You're doing great things. I see you out there training with Leon Edwards and the whole crew over there. So you're all over the place. You continue to rise. Congrats on the win. Continued success, my friend. Stay off the roads. Wear a helmet, please. Be safe. Drive your car. All good. And I hope you get another fight, maybe here in New York. You get Tom, you get you on here, get some Brits coming over here. That would be big.
Yeah, that'd be big. That's a dream to fight in New York. That's a dream. That's definitely on top of the bucket list. So I'll be aiming for that. I'm gonna have a few weeks out, let the body heal up and stuff like that, and then we're gonna aim for that card. Let's hope we get that card.
Great stuff. Thank you, Lerone. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the win.
Peace.
There he is, Lerone Murphy, the miracle. What a story. What a guy. Such a nice guy. And undefeated, doing great things. 13-0. That would be nice if he gets on there. Although I must say, 13-0-1, of course, there is the draw there. But undefeated. And on a roll here. The last time he fought 3 times in a year. Gotta go back. 2019, 2018. 2018 fought 3 times. When he was fighting for Fight Star Championship, Evolution of Combat, and Celtic Gladiator. When he was just like 7-0. Has he ever fought prior to that? 2017. Fought 4 times. No. 3 times. No. Twice. I counted the canceled fights. My bad. So only once. So he's en route to doing that, very close to doing that. Looking forward to seeing if he gets that fight. And I would love to see the Nathaniel Wood fight, who had a great one against Andre Feely on Saturday. All right, one more guest to go, and I'm very excited about this guest. As I said at the top of the show, if I could buy stock in one up-and-coming pro wrestler at the moment, I think it would be our next guest. He is unbelievable on the mic. He's been on the main roster for less than 3 months. And he's in there with the likes of John Cena, went toe-to-toe. I was there at Money in the Bank in London on the microphone. They both look like 20-year vets out there. One is, the other isn't. But you couldn't tell if you didn't know any better. Toe-to-toe with the likes of Edge and so many others, has really made a great impact. The effect, pardon the pun, that he has had since coming up to the main roster has been tremendous. And I learned when I met him in Los Angeles prior to WrestleMania in late March, early April, big MMA fan, huge MMA fan. And I love this. We love talking to the pro wrestlers who appreciate MMA and vice versa as well. And so without further ado, let us say hello to the pride of Australia, the host of the Grayson Waller Effect, the one and only Grayson Waller. How are you, my friend?
You forgot to mention Madison Square Garden main eventer. You didn't put that in there, but put that in there.
Debut.
For me, if you can just say
Debut
that
at
now.
MSG. Main event in Madison Square Garden and debuted. How many people debut at MSG at the Mecca? There he is, Grayson Waller. My apologies.
That's okay. That's always. Was it Lerone who was just in there then? Man, those English guys are boring, aren't they? I nearly fell asleep waiting to come in for this interview. I was so excited. These British boys, man. They say they have banter. I don't know about that. I was having a little snooze on the couch. So hopefully I'll wake up enough for you now, mate.
I appreciate it. By the way, did you guys win the Ashes? It's very confusing. Like this thing goes on for like 8 weeks. I'm very confused what's going on.
We did. There was a big game this week, and it rained out. It got rained out, so they couldn't finish the game. So on a technicality, Australia retained the Ashes, and we're taking that. I couldn't be happier. Piers Morgan's complaining online that flop. I couldn't be happier. If you're gonna win, any means necessary. I'm good with it.
Amen. All right. Well, congratulations. And congratulations on all that you have done over the past few months, my friend. Wow. How do you could you even describe this? Like coming up, the effect that you've had, the impact that you've had, MSG debut, in-ring debut, the show being brought over from NXT, your talk show, Grayson Waller Effect, in there with John Cena at a pay-per-view. Come on, you have exceeded your expectations, right? When you thought about how you're going to come in there, main roster, you didn't expect all of this, right?
Yes and no. Obviously, it's been bigger than what I kind of expected it to be, but I always expected to come in on the same level as these guys. I didn't want to be that NXT guy who comes up and works his way up the ladder and is respectful and all those type of things, because I just don't think that works anymore. And for me personally, like I was coming off a broken leg. I broke my leg, 2 weeks before the WWE draft. So to have all this happening where the first 6 weeks on the main roster, like I wasn't cleared. I couldn't wrestle. I couldn't actually do anything. So lucky for me, I'm super charismatic. I'm super talented. I brought over the talk show. We had Charlotte Flair. We had Asuka. We had AJ Styles. Like from the beginning, I'm in there with the biggest names in the company. And that's where I anticipated to be. I don't know if I anticipated to be so quickly, but, as Edge said, I swam. I don't think at any stage during any of that did I look like I didn't belong in there with these people.
When you broke your leg before coming up, did you think, oh, man, I'm so close. This is all going to be delayed. It all worked out perfectly because it kind of, I think it made us anticipate the debut even more because you were there but not active. Were you worried initially, though, that this would delay everything or ruin everything?
Very, very much so. I don't know if you know this, but the WWE draft is real. The NXT talent who get called up to Raw and SmackDown do not know. So we go to the draft nights and we have no knowledge of what's going to happen. No, there's like 2 or 3 people there that kind of know. So we have no knowledge. So I had that match with Carmelo Hayes, who's the NXT champion now, and I broke my leg doing the Shane O'Mac through the announce table. And when I came backstage, like I knew it was bad, and it was kind of very emotional because not only did I lose the title match, but now I can see the draft disappearing. I can see, because I thought this is my time. I'm definitely getting drafted. But then you get the injury, and then I was second guessing myself. And then I don't know if you saw the draft, but I was there both nights. Both nights are about 2-3 hours. I wasn't drafted on either of those shows. I wasn't drafted on Raw. I wasn't drafted on SmackDown. So I had to sit there in the room, people getting picked all around me, people who aren't on my level, people who are talented, but they're not Grayson Waller talented. So I was annoyed. I was hot. I was not happy with the whole situation. And then I ended up picking the last pick, Mr. Irrelevant, if you want to, use NFL terms. I was Mr. Irrelevant, which is ironic because there's nothing irrelevant about Grayson Waller. But that kind of put a chip on my shoulder in a lot of ways because I said, okay, you think I'm the last pick? Watch what happens. And I think I've exceeded any expectation that people had for me.
When you came over, did you think that they would bring over your show as well?
I was hoping so because I think, especially on the main roster, it's wrestling, but it's entertainment. It's not just what's happening in the ring match-wise. Like there's the entertainment portion. And I think what I showed with the Grayson Waller effect on NXT is that I'm a great middleman for that. If you have 2 people that don't like each other, put me in the middle. I'm happy to instigate as much as I can. If you want to bring a legend out, Shawn Michaels was on my show before. If you want to bring in a legend and reintroduce them to the audience and have someone start some trouble, I'm going to do that. So I hoped they would. I thought they would, but I didn't know that it was going to be basically the same show. The set's the same. We still have the comments down the bottom. People say so many nice things about me during the show. So you got to make sure people can see that. But I think it's the same vibe that it was in NXT, which in the past hasn't happened with the transition to the main roster.
Right.
A lot of times things gets changed up and the NXT fans are upset because they're like, oh, this is what we liked. But I think this time there is no difference.
Yes, nothing pisses me off more than we get emotionally invested in someone in NXT, and not only do they come up and they're different, they have a different name. It's like none of this happened. I feel like that's insulting the audience. It's like if someone comes up, to use another analogy, like from AAA to the major leagues in baseball, you can't just repackage the guy. That's the guy we fell in love with in the minors. Not to say that NXT is minor, but you get what I'm saying, right? You get called up. We want to follow that guy, to the top, to the top, not change him.
No, I couldn't agree more. And that's something, when I was a fan, I noticed the same thing. But the great thing about NXT now, and it's going gangbusters, the ratings are through the roof for that show, is there's more connection between NXT and the main roster. And you can even see it on Friday on SmackDown. Mello and Trick Williams were there. Stax and Tony D were there. They're implementing onto the show. The main roster's coming down to NXT, and the product that they're building in NXT is what they want to then use in the main roster. So those people who have complained in the past that, I like this, but then they brought me this, now it's going to be a much smoother transition. And I think I'm a great example of that. I think Pretty Deadly are a great example of that. Zoe Stark is what you saw in NXT. It worked, and now it's going to work on the main roster.
Who's done the talk show better than anyone in the history of WWE, in the history of the business? There's been a few over the years, right? There's one that comes to mind, in my opinion, but I want to hear your answer. Who's been the best in this role?
I don't think there's any question that it's Roddy Piper.
All right, that was.
And I know he's kind of the first one, so sometimes it's a cop-out to say that, but when I initially got the talk show, I watched a bunch of Piper's pits, and like his ability to instigate and just his energy and vibe during them, I think it's untouched. Miz, you have to talk about too, because he's done it for such a prolonged period, and it doesn't matter who he's in there with. Miz is always super entertaining, but I just don't think you can go past Roddy Piper.
That's the one, yeah. Piper's Pit, iconic. Speaking of the Miz, so LA Knight gets a little bit of heat because people say he's ripping off Austin and The Rock.
Yeah.
You get a bit of heat because people say you're ripping off the Miz. Now, dare I say, it's one thing to be compared to those two legends. Liz, he's a legend in his own right, but he's not quite the Austin. Do you get annoyed when people say you're ripping off the Miz?
I would get annoyed if the Miz sucked.
Okay.
If they're comparing me to someone that sucked, fair enough. But the Miz is a multiple-time world champion. He's a WrestleMania main eventer. He's at a talk show. He's literally done it all. Why would I complain about people comparing me to him? And I can see the comparisons, like we both did reality TV. We're both very confident in ourselves. We both say how we feel, and we have no qualms about telling people that. So I can understand the comparisons, but I just think, especially people on Twitter, they just have no intelligence. So the easiest thing to do is, this person's this person. Like, they just don't have the intelligence to see the difference between people.
I don't see it. I really don't at all. Other than the reality show thing, and you have like similar color hair. Like I really don't see a lot of similarities between the two of you. I actually think you're way better on the microphone than he was when he came in, like this early in your run in the main roster.
I think even microphone wise, I think we're different. Like I say way wilder things than the Miz does.
Mm-hmm.
Especially online too. I have no shame going out there and instigating and saying the things that I shouldn't be saying. Like I think I play with that line way more than the Miz. I think the Miz is fantastic at what he does, but I do something completely different.
Have you received?
But who knows? Maybe I'm here now. Maybe me and him. One day you never know what's going to happen.
That would be fun. Young guy coming up, saying the things that you're saying, especially about some of the older guys, the legends, if you will. What's the reception like backstage?
Well, I'm in the locker room this time. So in NXT, Bron Breakker kicked me out because I said some wild stuff about certain people. But I think people understand who I am and what I do. I think they've seen my stuff in NXT and who I've worked with before, and they understand it. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be super polite to me and want me to be around. And I get that. I go in there fully knowing that. But what does it do for me going up to the main roster and shaking hands, kissing babies and asking, AJ Styles, can I please get a photo with you? Oh, you're my favorite. Like, I'm a wrestling fan. I grew up loving wrestling. Like AJ Styles, Shawn Michaels, these are my favorite wrestlers. But I'm on their level now, and it does nothing for me to still act like a fan. Like I would be embarrassed in myself if I made all this effort to get here and to get to where I am, and then I just want to be a fan of everyone. Like I just don't think that does anything for me. And I think that happens in MMA too. You see people who fight a legend, and and they don't put in the same performance. They don't want to put them down. They don't want to take them behind the shed and, put one in the head. I want to, because I think the best respect I can show these legends is to go at them as hard as possible. I think I'm showing them respect in a different way.
And I want to ask you about your MMA fandom. I'm very interested in this, but how did you find out that you were going to headline MSG in your debut?
So I knew that Edge was going to be on the show. That kind of got announced the week before in Money in the Bank. So that was already cool in itself. MSG to me, like, I'm from Australia, but I understand the venue in itself. And, the night before, I think I found out maybe the day before that this was a match that could be happening and it could be the main event. And this is my first back from my injury, so I'm already stressing. So I sat in my hotel room and I watched Reggie Miller in MSG highlights. That started firing me up.
Really?
Yeah, no, that was 8 points in 9 seconds, 9 and 8, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I was watching that. And then watching Conor and Eddie Alvarez and all the background of that in that venue, and it just fired me up and it completely got me ready. So I had 24 hours and I was super nervous. But then once I started watching these people who have performed in that venue and lived up to expectations, I felt 100% ready to go.
So that's why you did the hands behind the back in honor of Conor against Eddie Alvarez at MSG.
100%, because I've always been a huge Conor fan because he is who he is. I love that he says what he has to say. I think Conor's a professional wrestler. He might not be in a professional wrestling ring, but everything about him is professional wrestler. The way he talks, the way he moves, the way he builds his fights. He's a professional wrestler. He'll never admit it. He does the Vince walk and everything. But that whole story, I loved watching the video because so many people were talking about how Eddie Alvarez was going to expose him. They're like, oh, this is it. He's going up a weight class. There's no hope. And I love people discounting. And he went in there and it was easy. He did it easy. So that's why I was like, I want to show a little bit of respect to someone I look up to and did the little hands behind the back thing.
Do you think of that in the moment, or did you think did you kind of plan that moment beforehand?
I didn't really plan it beforehand. It just I felt it. I look across and that's Edge. Edge is a Hall of Famer. And this is, a few people said to me before the show, enjoy the moment. So when I looked across the Edge and I was like, I'm going to take this moment in and then I'm going to get to work. And that's just what I felt at that moment. And it's kind of cool. Looking back, I'm glad I did it.
Are you happy with that debut match?
Not at all. No, not at all. I understand, people backstage were happy. People online thought it was a good match. But for me, I'd been out of the ring for 8 weeks, even longer, and I hadn't been able to train at all because of my schedule. We were in London. We were here. So I just felt that I wasn't at my best. I felt that was Grayson Waller at 60%, and I'm not here to be good. I'm here to be great. So that watching that match back was hard. But now that I'm starting to get back to 100% healthy, I'm going to improve on that performance. And if I ever get in there with Edge again, I'm putting him down for good.
What was it like when you walked back and went through Gorilla? Was there someone in particular that said something to you? Is there a moment? Is there an interaction? First time walking back as a main roster guy, is there something that sticks out that you'll always remember?
Yeah, Michael Hayes told me that it's all downhill from here. Which, he's not wrong. I had, John Cena in O2 Arena the week before. There was a lot happening at once. But to be honest, it was such an emotional roller coaster. After it just, you stress about it so much, you think about it so much, and it just happens so quickly. It feels like it's seconds. So it was cool having some of my friends that are up there coming over and saying, congratulations, welcome back, those type of things. But the one that'll stick with me is Michael Hayes telling me it's all downhill from here.
And so let me ask you about London. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. I felt it. Like I said, it felt like you were a 20-year vet going toe-to-toe, verbally sparring with John Cena. Is that surreal for you? Do you have a moment there where you're like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm in here and I'm up here and it doesn't look like I'm not on his level, I'm floundering in this moment. What is going on in your mind as you are just verbally sparring John Cena, the legend?
The weird thing is I felt like I'd been there before because I put a lot of work into what I do. I work very, very hard. So if you don't think I've thought about what I would say to John Cena if I stood across from him, I've thought about that many times. It's very funny. Myself and Carmelo Hayes actually a few weeks before had talked about it. If you're ever in there with Cena and he came at you, because we've all seen before, Cena goes in on people. He doesn't hold back. He's going to tell you what he thinks. And I love that about him. I think he is like the measuring stick on the microphone and he tests people. You see kind of what he did with Theory earlier in the year. I think he was testing Theory the way he talked to him and put it on him. So I've thought about that moment so many times. And when I went out there, I felt completely comfortable. I've thought about being across from you. Your music's not going to scare me. You standing here is not going to scare me. This is where I belong. And that's the attitude I kind of bring into these things. And I think that's why I look so comfortable. I work hard so that nights like that are easy for me. They're the nights I get to enjoy.
So you said that like you're not so happy with the Edge match because you were a little rusty. Happy with that interaction?
I guess so, yeah. I don't think I'm ever happy with anything I do, but like, I think I showed a lot of people who I was, because I know online people would complain like, oh, he's just a talk show host now, because people didn't know I was hurt. And they're like, oh, what's he even doing? He doesn't belong there. And then all of a sudden now everyone switches and goes 180 because fans are so easy to change. And now they're like, oh, wow, he's so good. And it's like, get off the bandwagon. I don't need you guys on my side. Like, I knew I was that good, but I think I proved myself not only to people online, but like to the people backstage, because no one knew John was there. So I'm walking around all day and people are kind of like, what's he here? The Smackdown crew flew home yesterday. And I was like, oh, just hanging out. And then obviously there was someone hiding in the halls of the O2 Arena.
That is incredible. And the crowd, like they were eating up everything that you were saying, obviously didn't love everything that you were saying, but it was just a tremendous back and forth. So a lot of credit to you for that. Could I ask you, why did you want to become a pro wrestler? Like what made you fall in love with all of this and this life?
I always loved it since I was little, which a lot of people kind of say, like, and I don't know what it is about it. I think it's just such a perfect mix of so many different things. There was a time in my life when I was, turned 18 where I got deep into the UFC, and then I changed my mind. I wanted to be an MMA fighter. I went and trained for 3-4 years. I trained with Rob Whittaker. Probably doesn't remember me because he used to beat me up every day. But then I just didn't have the passion for it. I didn't love it. Like, it was fun. But I think with MMA, you have to be all in. If you're not all in, it can get really dangerous. So I just knew it wasn't for me. And then when I finally went and started wrestling properly, I was like, it was day one. I knew this is what I wanted to do, because the wrestling part is fun. I love getting hit. I love hitting people. But then I love to entertain. I love to say really mean things to people. That's one of my favorite things to do. I don't know if you saw over the weekend, I ripped Bingo from Bluey in front of that crowd. That brings like so much joy to my heart, seeing how sad that guy was that his balloon got popped. So it's just something about wrestling where it has so many different aspects to it that I enjoy, and I can kind of do a full performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I knew you were a big MMA fan. I didn't know that you've actually trained in MMA, and you trained with Rob Whittaker. Wow. How long did you train with him?
I think I trained for him about 3-4 years. So
What?
He's from the same area. Yeah, he's the same area as me. He was a Shire boy in Sydney. So we had mutual friends growing up. So like in high school, I knew of him. And then I started training with him a little bit. And obviously he was the guy at that time. And kind of everyone already knew how good he was. It just like he hadn't had the opportunities that he would get later in his career. So it's always great seeing Rob killing it, because I feel like, when I was 18, he used to punch my head in and be really nice afterwards and give me advice. Like, he's always been such a good bloke, which he didn't need to be with how talented he was.
Were you shocked by that result against Dricus du Plessis?
Yeah, that was a rough one. That was the night after Madison Square Garden. I stayed in New York for the night to watch the fights. And I don't know. And I've heard Rob say some stuff online about how it was kind of a wake-up call he needed. And maybe that's the thing, because that guy's got a big family. Like, he's a busy boy. Like, it's hard to commit 100% like you did when you were 22, 23 and had no obligations. Now he's got his family, he's got his wife. I'm sure he's got a lot going on. So it's hard to have that same level of commitment, but I think that fight will just bring out the best in him. And I'd be very worried if I was the next guy Rob's fighting.
So did you ever actually fight? Did you have any amateur fights?
No, I trained a bunch, and I did we would do like big sparring nights and things like that. But it was I just knew in my heart that I had to give 100%. Like, I had a job at the time. I was doing uni. Like, I was half in. And with MMA, you can't be half in, because that's how people get hurt. So I always kind of did it more as a hobby than anything, stay fit.
Okay. So this is like 15 or so years ago, right?
Yeah, quite a while. Like, so I was like between 18 and 22.
Right.
But I got a little bit of knowledge. So if I ever get in there with, Julius Creed's down here, he's a big amateur guy. And we got Gable Stevenson now. So if I ever jump in there and they try and shoot a double leg, like, they get the double leg, but at least I fight like just a little bit.
Yeah,
I have that half second of, and then Gable dumps me on my head.
So then curious, why did it take so long for you to get to WWE?
Well, I started training. I didn't start training till I was 25, which is very rare kind of in wrestling. But I was out living my life. I lived in the States doing things. Like, I got my uni degree as a teacher. I did all these things. And then once I started training, that was it. That was my full focus. And with the Australian scene, it can be very hard to get noticed. Like, there's some really talented Australian wrestlers, but it's super difficult for people to see you and give you the opportunities because we're so far away. So lucky for me, I got seen on the right night and got brought here. But people didn't know. People had no idea who I was on any level at the Performance Center. So I just had to keep working my ass off till people paid attention. And if that didn't work, I just said really inappropriate things until people paid attention.
What kind of a teacher did you want to be?
Actually, I was a history English teacher for about 6 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, people don't believe. People don't believe that.
Yeah, that is. And how old were your students? Like what grades?
So for my first, I was mostly a sub because I did it on the side. Even when I was wrestling, it was like my job on the side. So originally I taught like kindergarten, like elementary kids, like little kids, which was super fun. But then eventually I went up to the high school kids, like 10, 11, 12th grade.
Any of those kids know what you do now? Like, you ever hear from them?
Yeah, on Instagram all the time, I'll have some of my old students reaching out, that type of thing, which is, I think it's cool for them to see because I hid that I was a wrestler for so long, but then I would always be coming into work. Like, I'm a high school teacher, I'm coming with a black eye, or I've got a sling on one week. And there's only so many times you can say, oh, I was playing basketball with the boys on the weekend before kids are smart. They worked it out. And, but then they all loved it. You know, some of them thought it was silly, but a lot of them thought it was cool that their teacher was a wrestler. I'm sure if I was in high school, my teacher was a wrestler, like that would have been the best day of my life.
Yeah. Tremendous. And then you were on Survivor Australia, which to me sounds like hell. There's nothing I would rather do less than go on Survivor. How was it for you?
I always tell people it sucked. It was horrible. It was the best like life experience I've ever had, but it was a terrible experience at the time because I was trying to work out how do I get people in wrestling to know who I am because no one knows Australian wrestlers. So I was like, I'm going to go on reality TV. So I ended up going on Survivor and it was fun. I loved the challenges. The challenges were fun. I got to talk a bunch of trash, like do all that thing. But then there's no food. It's cold. Like everything you see is real. People think that like Survivor is kind of, oh, you go stay in a hotel. No, we were just left on the beach all night, like freezing cold with no food. So it wasn't the most fun experience, but it was a great life experience. So I'm glad I did it. But I don't know if I'd ever do it again.
Do you think that if you don't do that, you don't get to WWE?
I don't know if that necessarily, but I think it gave me a lot of confidence coming out of it because people started to know who I was. And I got very lucky. The night I got signed, we had a tournament called the Coliseum Tournament. There's a company in Australia called PWA. It's the biggest company in Australia. That's where I train. And I ended up winning the tournament over 2 nights. And Canyon Seaman at the time was the recruit from WWE, and he got to see me. So I don't think if I did Survivor, I might not have been, the winner of the tournament with all that hype behind me. Maybe he doesn't see me the same way, and then maybe I'm not here. So I think a lot of things kind of fit into place for me at that time.
Okay. I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but when we first met in Los Angeles, I
beat you in darts, right?
Well,
when I beat you in darts?
I sort of threw it. I was doing a gimmick where I suck at darts. I'm actually really good at it, but I wanted the wrestlers to beat me for the video. So I was working.
I didn't see the video. Okay.
Yeah, I was working. Anyway, you mentioned Chael P. Sonnen being someone that you've really enjoyed. Could I ask about your admiration of Chael, especially on the microphone?
I've always been someone who likes the bad guys. I don't see any value in good guys. They bore me. And, ever since he beat Anderson Silva in that fight, 4-1, 4 rounds to 1. That was such an incredible performance. But I think Chael's another one he's a pro wrestler. Yes, he was a MMA fighter, an amateur wrestler, all these things, but he was a professional wrestler. He went out there and he said whatever he had to say to get people invested. You would know, like, his early fights, no one was paying attention because he would just take people down and hold them there and they'd not be able to get up. So people weren't really excited. Then all of a sudden he starts saying things about Brazil. He starts going off at Anderson. He starts saying all these things and I loved it. Chael Sonnen is my kind of MMA fighter. My first favorite MMA fighter was Josh Koscheck for the exact same reason. Like, he just was who he was. And he wasn't apologetic, but he also knew what he was doing. He was drawing people in, and I love that type of vibe. So Chael's a hero of mine. Like, when you had him on recently, and you mentioned me to him, that was like the coolest thing ever. I got all the respect in the world for Chael.
That is awesome. Yeah, he told me he's going to be a fan of yours, as did Connor. After I posted the thing, and he was like, "Tell me about this Grayson Waller. He seems like a good guy." All that. So now you got 2 pretty big legends following you. No problem, by the way. You're welcome for that. No, don't mention it, okay?
No, I got the Ariel Helwani rub.
Yeah.
But that, like, I envision, like, I don't know, I don't think I'm that far off getting world title matches. And when I do that, like, I've always enjoyed, like, the MMA vibe of having people walk you out.
Oh,
Chal's ever available, I'd love to have Chal walk me out. And Connor, like, he could walk me out, but I genuinely think Grayson Waller and Conor McGregor as a tag team at a WrestleMania is something that could happen. I think Conor is going to find his way to WWE in some way, and I think I'm the perfect person to help him with that. Like, put me in with you, bro. I got no problem doing that, and I think that's something that's going to happen.
You know, my next question was just going to be if you think that Conor will end up in WWE. Everyone seems to have an opinion on this. You think he does?
I think 100%. I know online he says never, and he doesn't like wrestling, and he says those things, but there's too much money to be made. And, you know, you can only fight for so long. And he's another guy who has so much happening in his life. It's hard to commit 100% to the fight game. But for wrestling, there's people who do it part-time. Look at Logan Paul. Logan Paul is a part-time guy, but he's really, really good at what he does. And he's great to watch. He's making waves. He's wrestling at WrestleManias, and I think Conor could do the exact same.
And especially now that you're going to be under the same umbrella, feels like it's easier than ever to make it happen.
Very much so. And I think all he would need is that one night, and I think you get the bug. And I think Logan got the bug. Like, I think at first he was just doing that as a bit of fun on the side, and then he was like, this is really, really fun. Like, I love doing this. So maybe not as much at Money in the Bank when he was going through ladders, but I think the other matches, Logan's loving it. And I think Conor just needs to jump in, and I'm more than happy to be the guy that brings him in.
Okay, so you said that you would love for one of those guys to walk you out. If you could walk out one MMA fighter, who would it be?
I think right now it's got to be one of the Aussies. It's got to be Volk. I'm a huge Volkanovski fan. What he's doing right now for Australian MMA is like another level. Like, he's the best pound for pound fighter in the entire world, and he's from Australia, and he's doing it easy. So I love watching what he's doing. I would love to come out with him. He's from a similar area to me as well. I know a few years ago, I think him and Cejudo was supposed to have a fight.
Okay, yeah.
And Cejudo was doing stuff with AEW. So Volkanovski actually talked to the school, PWA, that I was from, about maybe coming in for a show, doing some stuff so he could kind of build to the Cejudo fight. But it never came through. So I was really jealous because I was supposed to actually do some work with him. But now we can just do that on a bigger stage now.
So I saw it was the day of that fight, July 8th. You went to Yankee Stadium. You were rocking the Volk T-shirt, right? So that's your guy.
Yeah.
Number one, is he your favorite right now?
Right now, he's my favorite just because I love representing my country. You know, every time I go out and wrestle, I have the Australian flag all over me, and I think Volk's doing the same right now for the Australian MMA scene. So any Australian like that, I'm fully supportive of. And like Taito Ivasa, I'm a big fan of too. He's from my area. I guess it's all the Sydney boys, you know, Western Sydney boys taking over. But I'm doing the shoey too. And that's something that, like, you know, I saw him doing, and I was like, I love doing that. I think that's Australian culture, how ridiculous the shoey is. So now I just need to bring it to WWE. And so I haven't got a main roster shoey in yet, but it's coming.
Wait, so your shoey came from seeing Ty do it?
100%. There was Ty and like Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
But, like, I think that is Australian culture. And I was like, I remember I said to Shawn Michaels, I was like, hey, Shawn, I'm thinking of doing a shoey. And he just blankly looked at me, obviously. And I was like, it's an Australian cultural thing where you put like beer in your shoe and you drink it. And I think because I said cultural, he didn't want to offend me. So he just said, yeah, you can do whatever you want. So that's my new plan now. So if anyone ever asks, I'm like, it's my culture. It's my culture.
Yeah. But by the way, like, you do it with new shoes. Like what Ty does is disgusting. He has people spit in it and all this crap. You don't do that, right? Like, you seem like...
Yeah, no.
No?
It's my shoe. I do it from my shoe, and sometimes I have to put it back on. But the whole spitting in it thing, that was never something that me and my mates done. I think that's just Ty trying to take it to another level, and he can have that. That can be his lane. He can go do the spit in the shoe.
So you used to do this legit as a kid?
Not as a kid, but I think when Ty started doing it, it started becoming a thing.
Okay.
So when I was actually wrestling independently in like 2017, I started doing the shoey on the indies.
Oh.
So there's photos of me like 6 years ago doing it, and still doing it now, but now we're making it a thing. We're making sure, because the Americans are very confused. They really don't understand what's going on. They just kind of let us go because we're stupid Australians.
Have you been to a UFC event or any MMA event?
I have. So I went to the original one in Sydney. I think it was UFC 110, which was Velasquez and Nogueira.
Yeah, you were at that one.
I was at that one. That was big. And I remember because at the time, George Soteropoulos was like, he was our Aussie guy. Yeah. And I remember the whole crowd chanting for him, that type of thing. And they were fun because they were like on Sunday morning at like 10 a.m. So we would go out at like 8 a.m. and start drinking beers to go and watch the fights at like in the morning. And then most recently, I went to the UFC down in Miami. I live in Orlando, so I drove down to go watch Izzy fight. I've always wanted to see Izzy fight live, and that fight against Pereira, that was a banger to go and watch. That was a lot of fun.
Who are you rooting for in that one?
Izzy, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Team Izzy. He's in with Volk and all those guys, so I know he's not Australian, but New Zealand's close enough. We kind of just claim each other most times.
Yeah, for the most part. That was a tremendous card, UFC 110. Mirko Krokop against Anthony Parosh. Remember that? Parosh taking that fight on like 5 days' notice.
And then I remember, I don't know if it was that one, and the next one was 126 with BJ Penn and Fitch, where Mark Hunt, 127, and then Mark Hunt, that was like one of Mark Hunt's first fights. Was it Chris Teixeira?
Yes.
Big, fat, blonde guy.
Yes, I was there.
And Mark Hunt
he was Brock Lesnar's, that's the only one I've been to in Sydney.
Yeah.
He was Brock Lesnar's training partner, and that was Hunt's first win because he lost to Sean McCorkle in his debut at 119, and everyone thought he sucked. Comes out, and then he knocks him out, and BJ Penn and John Fitch fought to a draw in the main event.
Yeah, the main event really brought the crowd down because, a lot of times for the Aussies, we want to see the Aussies fight. That's kind of what we're there for. So, but I remember Mark Hunt winning that fight, and we were all big. I don't know how you can't be a fan of Mark Hunt, just this big Samoan bloke just knocking people's heads off. So as soon as he did that, and then he went on a run after.
Yes.
That was such a cool thing that he could have got his contract bought out, but decided not to and said, no, I'm going to fight my way, and then ended up winning. I think that's like a very Australian thing to go out and go, no, I'm going to show you what I can do.
Were you at that card too?
I was at that one too. Yeah,
we were in the same building. We were. I might have bumped into you.
I said hello, but you were too big for me back then.
Yeah,
so now you're coming to me.
That's true. That's a good point. And then of course I'd be remiss if I don't ask you. I mean, the biggest question of them all: is there something happening between you and Dwayne Johnson? What is going on here? The back and forth. Again, like you're hanging there. Like, what is happening? He's sending you messages. What's going on over here? Is there a seed?
Look, SummerSlam's always a big show, and next week we're in Detroit for SummerSlam. That's a big show, and I think all of a sudden people start seeing what I can do for these legends. Like I think Grayson Waller's on the WWE Legend Rehabilitation Program right now. If you're a WWE legend, it's hard, Twitter, Instagram. You don't know how to go on the socials. Come and talk to me. I'll make you relevant again. And I think he saw me do that with John Cena. He saw me do it with Edge. And I think right now, like he's out of work right now. He's unemployed, correct?
I don't keep up with his diary, but yes. But I mean, I don't know if he has a movie.
But we're on strike, right? All the actors are on strike.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
So technically he's unemployed, and I think he needs some work. And who better to help The Rock than Grayson Waller? So I just sent out a little video. I didn't even tag him, mind you. So people who think, I was clout chasing, I didn't even tag him. All of a sudden, he's coming back with the same insults he's been using for 15 years. It was funny because I was like, I remember when I was 15 and thought you were funny. Like that was really, really cool. But there's now an open invitation for the Grayson Waller effect. If he wants to come on the show, I know his daughter's in a cult right now on NXT, and his family's in shambles on the main show, but he seems to be worried about Grayson Waller. So I think we have to do something about it because there's so many legends in town for SummerSlam, Ariel. I heard The Undertaker might be in town for SummerSlam. I heard whispers about Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm hearing all these names being thrown around, and for some reason they all want to come find me. So if there's a legend in town that wants to talk to Grayson Waller, I'm open to it. So
there's a chance The Rock, Grayson Waller effect at SummerSlam. You think this is a possibility?
It's not up to me. I think that's up to The Rock. Like, and he can make any claims about a busy schedule, but I know you don't have a busy schedule now, lad. Like, you wake up at 4 a.m. to work out. You're done by about 6 a.m. You got a whole day free, and I'm open the whole day. You can get your workout in, whatever it is. I'm open, and he can say whatever he wants to me, and I think that would be a lot of fun. But we'll see if Dwayne has anything to say.
Okay. Wow. By the way, do you have a match at SummerSlam?
No match on SummerSlam. Grayson Waller's too talented to wrestle. I'm going to be there. I'm there for the tryout during the week, that type of thing. But I'll be hanging around the day of, and who knows who's going to turn up. Money in the Bank, John Cena turned up.
That's right.
So, they're always surprises to me too.
Two last ones. Poirier Gaethje, who do you have?
These are the kind of fights where I don't think win and loss doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be such a fun fight. But I love Gaethje just because he could be such a good wrestler and really take people down and that type of thing. But he just loves to go out there and bang and fight for the fans. And that's always really cool. And Poirier, he cheated and broke my boy Connor's leg. So I can't be celebrating him. So I got to go Team Gaethje.
Okay. And then Diaz Paul.
Oh, see, this is what So I got to train with Logan maybe about 6 months ago. He wanted to work with Shawn Michaels, and Shawn ain't taking bumps no more. So Shawn brought me in to work with Logan.
Okay.
And I know people don't like Logan. I personally do like him, but that dude is a natural talent. His athleticism is just so natural. And I think I've never met Jake, but I assume the same. And Nate's looking a bit slow right now. So I'm going to put my money on Jake Paul. I don't want to do it, but I just think he's so naturally talented and athletic that I don't know if Nate's going to be able to keep up with him.
Okay, fair enough. By the way, I lied. I had one more, and I don't want to put you in an awkward spot. I don't want to make it uncomfortable, and you could whisper it, or we could take it off the line, the answer. But how much, if you could just tell us, how much did Dylan Dennis pay you for that photo that you guys took? 'Cause there's no way in hell that an A-lister like you is taking a photo with a jobber like him and posting it on your feed. That to me was the most shocking part. Like usually you just keep that in the private file, but you actually put. So how much was that transaction? If you could just tell us.
Hey, you got to think about this, Ariel. I love messing with people online. I love it. There's nothing that's more fun than that. What is more bad guy than posting a photo with Dylan Dennis?
That's X-Pac heat. That's the wrong kind of heat. I don't know if you want that heat. Let's change the channel heat. You know what I mean? Just
hey, they ain't changing the channel on me. He was backstage. He's coming around asking everyone for photos, and I was like, I've got to get a photo with Dylan Dennis. That's an MMA legend you're talking about, right? He is. He doesn't even fight. How many people are getting mentioned on your show and they don't even fight at all? He doesn't even fight, so he's doing something right, I guess. There's a few of those flops. I don't know if have you seen Chase Demore?
Yeah.
He's the boxing guy. He did a WWE tryout recently. That's another flop. I want to see Chase Demore versus Dylan Dallas.
That's the one you want?
Yeah, it's just two idiots who don't know how to fight, just trying to fight each other. I think I'm paying good money. I'll pay $70 to watch that fight happen.
By the way, I like it. Now you went from posting him on your feed to calling him an idiot.
Yeah, that's what Grayson Waller does. I actually don't have any friends. That's why I'm sitting here alone right now. Right. I ain't got no friends. It's me and my dog, and that's about it.
And you got a sweet poster behind you, though, or whatever that is. That's tremendous.
So this is the funny story about this. I'm assuming you know Fit Finley?
Of course, legend.
Yeah, so he's a coach at the PC, and very, very close, helped me a lot. And earlier in the year, he pulled me aside. He gave me a bit of a serious talk, looking like maybe I'm going to the main roster. And he told me, he goes, you need to get in there with these people and act like you're Muhammad Ali. You need to believe in yourself. And he told me about this photo. Obviously, I've seen it, but he was like, you need to stand there above them and show that you're better than them. So as soon as he told me that, I took that to heart, and I actually went and bought this and put it up in my house. So every day I think about the fact that I need to act like I'm Muhammad Ali. Like when I go in there, I need to feel like I'm the best, not just say it.
Is that why you wear the boxing trunks?
That's part of it. The boxing trunks are mainly because I want to look different. I want to stand out, and I think the boxing trunks make me stand out. You can have a bit of fun, but my actual character is based more on Prince Nassim.
Oh, wow.
That was the first guy that I watched. The leopard print and all those things. Like he was Connor and Chael before Connor and Chael. I think Prince Nassim was like the OG, like trash talker, flashy fighter. Like you can even see the way I move in the ring. It's very Prince Nassim. That's because I watch his fights all the time.
Oh, I love that, and I love the thing that you do with your knees, the up and down thing there.
Yeah,
that is fun. Did you? Is it?
Yeah. It's
Go ahead. No, I was just wondering if you copied someone for that, or you came up with that on your own.
So that's it. I don't know if you know. There's a guy, Chris Hero, former WWE Cassius Ohno. But when I was a fan, I used to love watching Chris Hero, and he had this period in his career where he didn't even wrestle; he would just do tricks, which I loved. And he used to do the lunges all the time. And so when I was on the Indies, I just started doing it, and it just kind of stuck. So that's a little shout out for Chris Hero.
Well, you are killing it, my friend, and you got a Mattel doll, right? An action figure, I think is the better name for it. Action figure, not doll. Maybe that's something.
Well, I don't care. Like they're gonna give me one anyway. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not a nerd. I'm not gonna sit around with like action figures around my studio. Like, can you imagine doing that? Can you imagine being an adult with a child, but you have toys around? Like that I would never do anything like that. But I know you wouldn't either.
No. I was gonna say it would look nice in the studio, but maybe we can rethink that. Congratulations on all your success. I love the MMA ties. I love the boxing trunks. I love what you're doing on the microphone, in the ring. It's a lot of fun to watch. And, again, now that you got Chael and Connor following your career, I'm invested as well because I don't want to steer them wrong. I don't want to tell them like, oh, this is the guy, buy stock in this guy, you know, metaphorically speaking. And then so please continue to make me look good by, you know, raising the bar and leveling up.
Don't worry, you've chosen the right horse, I promise you. And the next time you're at W Show, don't be afraid to come up. Like, I'm happy to sign anything you need. Like, I've got you.
Thank you, Grayson. All the best to you, my friend. Take care. Good luck at SummerSlam.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, brother. See you soon, Dwayne.
Yeah, there he is, Grayson Waller. Yes, SummerSlam, August 5th on Peacock. Definitely check that out, and that's going to be a busy night. Corey Sandhagen, that's another thing that happened since we last spoke. Corey Sandhagen going up against Rob Font. That was supposed to be Umar Nurmagomedov, Jake Paul, and Nathan Diaz, and SummerSlam. Unfortunately, I won't be at SummerSlam. People are asking me if I'll be at SummerSlam. I won't be at SummerSlam. I am going to be at the Paul Diaz fight, but I do have another Ariel Meets that is coming out that week with someone who is going to be a part of SummerSlam for TNT Sports. So do check that out. That is a really good one that I'm very excited about. How great was Grayson Waller, guys? Did you enjoy that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Rick is smitten back here over him.
Smitten Rick?
Smitten Rick.
Wow.
Got a smile from ear to ear back here.
Tell us.
I like the cut of his jib, but once you drop Prince Nassim, that's when you become one of my guys. You know, Prince Nassim was the guy for me.
And now you know, like, he's legit. Like, when you're dropping Prince Nassim as an inspiration.
Sure, but I mean, when you train with Robert Whittaker, that's probably enough of a crossing of the threshold for me, you know?
4 years with Robert Whittaker? I just thought he was a fan. I just thought he was an MMA fan. I didn't know he actually trained with Robert Whittaker. Wow. I wonder if Robert remembers that. He says he doesn't, but like maybe someone later on said, you remember that guy? He's now this guy, right? I mean, 4 years is a long time. It's not like one session.
Breaks down Dylan Dennis's legend status. Like, the guy's got the goods.
He goes back and forth, you know, like he's making fun of me with the toys. No, he is unbelievable on the mic. And I love like the cocky laugh. And The Rock did respond. I mean, everyone's trying to get The Rock's attention. He did. So, and by the way, like, how much do you think Dylan actually paid for the photo? What do you guys think? It was like a cameo thing?
I have no idea.
I'm more concerned about the shirt. I got to give Dylan some props. The HBO boxing shirt.
Oh, I thought you meant his shirt. Wasn't he wearing? Wasn't that like a Versace or something?
Oh, the shirt he was wearing just now.
Mm-hmm.
It was something nice, man.
With the ropes on him.
It actually was
Dylan doesn't really
Conor-esque.
know what shirt he's wearing.
You mean like the significance, the historical?
Yeah, like
significance?
I asked him about a T-shirt, and then he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
The NWO one?
It was the Aphex Twin one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? He came on with NWO. Or you mean like a shirt he wore?
I asked him about a shirt that he wore previously. I was like,
okay.
oh, you're a big Aphex Twin fan. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, all right, then.
Is there anything worse than what is that? A band? See, I actually
a
don't.
Musician, yeah.
Yeah. So like, is there anything worse than someone who wears a T-shirt of a band that doesn't know the band?
So I suspect he doesn't know what NWO is or HBO.
Or
boxing.
HBO boxing.
He saw him at a store and was like, yeah, I'll buy these.
This looks cool. Well, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that immensely. I'm still steaming over the accusation that I called Tom Paul, by the way.
Yeah, he emailed us actually.
Fuck. Let me see if you wrote me. Let me see.
Paul at.
No, nothing. No, there's nothing. There's nothing here. This is all a lie. Fuck off. It's all a lie.
Has no one clipped it yet?
No, no one's clipped it. Please don't clip it. No one clip it. By the way, if you clip it, I'm blocking you. So
how do we clip the thing that doesn't exist?
If you clip it, I am blocking you. I just want to give you that warning. Well, that was a lot of fun. Enjoyed chatting with Grayson, and we do have to recap, unfortunately, the weekend that was as far as betting is concerned. But first, I do want to tell you about our good friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. And guys, did you know this Saturday, UFC 291, Bellator Rising, and Spence Crawford. I mean, Spence Crawford is the fight to end all fights. It's the fights that the purists have been dreaming of. It's the first undisputed four-belt era welterweight title fight. It's arguably 1 versus 2. The winner is going to be number 1. It's top 5. I mean, this music is perfect, by the way, for what I'm trying to sell here. It is the best that boxing has to offer. There's no doubt about that. It's Errol Spence Jr., undefeated, going up against Terrence Crawford. Spence owns 3 titles. Crawford owns 1. They're going toe-to-toe at T-Mobile Arena this Saturday in Las Vegas. It's 2 of the very best in the sweet science. And DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered on all the action. New customers, strike now and get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. By the way, who is the favorite right now in the Spence Crawford fight? Anyone know?
Crawford minus 155 still.
Interesting that the guy with just 1 title is the favorite against the guy with 3, although I think some would say Crawford has fought better competition as of late, been more active, of course. Spence with the eye injury, with the car accidents, I mean, a lot that he has had to overcome. So check it out this Saturday. In addition to that, check out UFC 291. In addition to that, Bellator Rising. And by the way, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. on ESPN Plus, Naoya Inoue against Stephen Fulton, a fantastic fight in Japan. Inoue's a huge star in Japan, had weigh-ins this morning. He looks fantastic. Fulton looks fantastic. That's going to be a big-time fight. So when you wake up tomorrow at around 8 a.m. Eastern, if you're in the UK, overseas, you'll already be awake. But anyway, a Tuesday morning in Japan, battle between 2 of the best. Inoue top 5 as well. Check all that out over on DraftKings. Who's the favorite in that fight, by the way?
Inoue, like minus 350.
Usually much bigger favorite, so don't miss out on the fight everyone's talking about. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code THEMMA. New customers can bet $150 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5. You get $150 if you bet $5 this Saturday only on DraftKings Sportsbook. With the code THEMMA. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net in partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling, 888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resorts in Kansas, 21 year old in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/boxing terms.
Good job.
I wanted to see, are there any matches so far for SummerSlam? Oh, Cody Rhodes against Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins against Finn Balor, tremendous. Asuka, Charlotte Flair versus Bianca, and Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. Wow. Tribal combat for the undisputed Universal Championship and recognition of Tribal Chief. That's a big one. Man, if I miss Roman Reigns losing finally, that would be a bummer. Anyway, guys, what's so funny over there? Everything okay?
Yeah, no, nothing.
All right.
Watching back earlier part of the show.
Fuck off. I mean, no one's posted anything. No.
No, you were just making me question myself.
Yes, 100%. Never happened.
Good work by you. It was good work by you. It didn't happen.
Back and to the left.
In any event, UFC London in the books, and it was a solid weekend.
Yeah, solid weekend.
My voice went up there because it was like kind of a question.
Well, I mean, we'll start with the Parlay Pals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Frank, Rick, well, JC carrying the weight.
What does red mean?
How many
It's not
times
been a
have
long
I
time.
been the lone dissenter?
Yeah, I want to say this is only like the second or third time this has happened to you.
Listen, I tried to extend the olive branch. Obviously, she has bigger issues than me picking her in the parlay. But let it be known, there's no hard feelings. There's just because I'm a Forest guy, and it's all good. But yeah, I could I should have gone with Lerone Murphy. That was the one that I feel
That would have been a great one.
That
would have been a great one. He looks fantastic out there. So yeah, unfortunately, Parlay Pals back in the
Boys.
L column. Yes, boys. Sorry, respect to Juliana Pena there. But I think we can bounce back this week. We got some boxing. I know you love to take some boxing action. We got some 291. I feel good about it. To UFC London though, good week. Not gonna lie. Again, a rare week where I came one short of the clean sweep. I took the Pani Kianzad by decision. That is the lone loser for the week. Still got Inoue tomorrow morning, so I will be up and watching that. Got a parlay that carries over to this week as well. Bonfim. So overall, Satisfying week, up just a smidge over 5 units, still down 18 on the year, but 59 overall. And can't complain. Fun card. Love to see Aspinall back. And yeah, we're moving on to UFC 291. But before we do that, shout out a couple big hitters. I have a ridiculous one that I think you guys will be interested to hear. Yeah.
What do we got? Da, 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 da. Yeah.
All right, we start. King Gunk, Mark Ranagan. 5-team parlay for this guy. Had to put it in Thursday morning or before because he goes Tom Aspinall to win inside the distance, -325. Makhmed Muradov, -325. Casey Alvarez does not go to a decision, -225. Now here's where it gets interesting. Highpoint.com 400. Over in NASCAR, he takes Denny Hamlin +500. This is all still enclosed into the same parlay. And then the last leg that hit yesterday, early afternoon, Brian Harmon, shout out, dog, representing Georgia well, to win the Open Championship +10,000. I guess he didn't think that the parlay was boosted up enough, so he threw in Brian Harmon to win the Open Championship +10,000 in there. That gets his parlay to +149,587. So good news all around for our man King Gunk. The only bad news, he only put 50 cents on it. Still, 50 cents into $748 is not a bad deal.
Jeez. Wow.
I mean, the parlaying up of -325 with a +10,000 is just like the craziest thing I've ever seen. But alas, it worked out for him. Another one, our man Paul Craig, had him on the show earlier. Paul Craig to win by knockout in round 2 +2,500, and Paul Craig to win by knockout period +1,000. That is Pete. I don't know if this is PTO SCAC or Pato SCAC. Either way, Pete cashed out, wins over $1,000 on that one. A couple more good ones. +2,800. Our man Tyler 17 Big T turns 25 pounds, euros, one of the two, into 725. Chris Duncan by decision. Daniel Marcos by decision. Nathaniel Wood by decision. All three cash. Shout out to him. And then last but not least, Mills, MMA Locker Room, 6 legs. Lerone Murphy, Johnny Parsons, Chris Duncan, Bruno Priscilla, Nathaniel Wood, and Ketlin Vieira +2,500. Wins over 200 on that ticket. So shout out to the big hitters.
Yeah.
King Gunk, man. King Gunk.
Can I make my pick for this week's parlay?
Nayo Inoue?
Yeah.
You're not in this week's parlay, unfortunately.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
get out.
Holy shit. Is this the first time? Because I think the other time...
No.
Was there ever one that I missed?
No. This is the first one that you're going to miss.
Yes. Oh, thank God.
There was some stipulation that you needed to stay in for the last one. I can't remember what it was.
Yes, thank God. Oh, I think I actually muscled my way into it.
I think you might
have
have.
to do this time.
No, I'm happy to take a break. It's been a lot. It's like those fighters who compete with the undefeated record, and it's like, finally, heavy as the head that wears the crown.
Yeah. That's a Sugar State Athletic Commission record right there.
Oh my
That is how it is viewed for sure.
Anyone watch the tag team boxing over the weekend?
No.
Jed Meshew did and said it was something
I didn't know
special.
what was happening.
Chase Demora, wasn't he the one that got into the thing with Nate?
Yeah.
Or my thing is,
Yeah, he was calling from the crowd last time, but
He didn't get choked out by fake Logan Paul. Who was that?
I don't know.
no, fake Logan Paul got
that
choked out.
Nate Diaz choked out?
Yeah.
Logan Paul. Yeah.
Yes. What do you mean? You don't remember this? It happened 2 months ago.
No, because
man,
Chase
a lot
Demora was
happens in this sport.
involved in that event, and I think
Yes,
him
yes,
and
yes.
Nate. So it all
A
blends
lot
together.
happens in the sport. It blends together. What a ridiculous time that was.
That was a ridiculous time. And it's all coming to fruition in less than 2 weeks. In fact, we're going to have a bit of an announcement on Wednesday's program regarding that fight. So stay tuned for that. A lot going on. And so the things that have happened since we last spoke, remember I mentioned Rob Font, and then I was like, oh, wait, he has a fight. You remember that whole exchange on Wednesday?
I do.
You do remember?
Yeah, I remember this because you said Rob Font. I said he's fighting Song Yadong.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
No, is it because I knew?
Oh, you knew
Yes.
already.
Time out. But then I said, why don't they pull somebody from a fight? And you were like,
Because in the midst of that, I was like, but don't say anything. So I was like,
got it.
song was already out.
Sick. Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
It was all happening real time. But did you find a way that I was just circling Rob who had a fight? I mean,
Didn't feel like that.
okay. Wow.
He sold it well.
You want me to show you the
we got-
text?
No, I
Yeah,
believe
no,
you,
no,
but,
we believe
but
you,
it
yeah.
didn't feel like that.
I was
got off the
picking up what was
show.
laying down.
We got off the show and you didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, I don't need to tell you guys everything.
Cool,
all right?
man.
I feel like I
Cool.
tell you
Yeah.
a lot as is. Just for the record, bit of a bummer, right? I mean,
No, what do you mean?
I
Yes,
really wanted to see the
I
Umar
say
fight.
bummer.
At this point, I was like
I
emotionally
wanted
invested.
to see the Rob Font Song Yadong fight. Rob
That
Font
too.
fighting in Boston also.
By the way, don't get me wrong. Like
This is the best.
Rob
this is
versus
the be-
Corey is a great fight,
Yeah.
but
Of course.
by the way, who was the favorite going into the Umar fight? Was it Umar? And now is it Corey?
Let's see if we got odds on that bad boy.
For a replacement, though, this is pretty.
Yeah,
damn
it's fine.
good,
No,
you know?
it's good. It's good. I mean, honestly, Rob is.
Sandhagen a sizable favorite, minus
Oh, really?
265.
Isn't that crazy? Going from like the fight where everyone's like, "Oh man, this guy." It's
and to a
not.
higher ranked guy,
Yes,
and now
right.
it flip flops.
It's not the same. Please don't get me wrong, but it is a little like Diaz Hamzat, Diaz Ferguson. You know what I mean? Like you go from the fight there, everyone thinks you're going to lose, to now the fight that you're the favorite. It's a weird one like that.
Yeah,
Esque.
you're right.
Esque.
Yeah.
Esque.
Yeah.
So we got that. That was a crazy Wednesday night. We got that.
Yeah.
We got Paulo Costa Hamzat,
Yeah.
and we got Charles and Islam.
Charles and Islam.
None of those were super surprising. I guess Charles and
Charles,
Islam,
yeah.
kind of put that.
And just to get him confirmed was pretty big news.
Yo,
I felt like.
Paulo Costa against Hamza Chimaev, like that, I feel like build and fight week is going to be insane.
It's going to be unbelievable. I can't wait for it. And then the fight itself.
Yes.
I can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be awesome.
I'm admittedly a little trepidatious.
You think it's one of those that's not going to happen?
I'm not saying it's not going to happen because I really hope it happens. But I really am not going to think about it or talk about it until it happens.
Wow.
Those like I don't want to put any bad juju out there. You know what I mean? Like I hope it happens. I'm your optimism can carry us, but these two.
I just want to see it happen. Like that is.
Me too, man. Can I just see Hamza Chimaev fight, please?
It is crazy.
Like,
that
that's what
by
I'm
the way,
begging for.
It's going to be 13 and a half months.
Yeah.
Between fights for him. And he wasn't
For
injured.
Costa, too. We haven't seen Costa since last August.
Since Rockhold.
Since Rockhold. Fuck. I mean, both guys do a good job of just kind of being around. What was up with Hamza taking the route of he's not a real Brazilian over the weekend? I mean, are we good? Is this the new thing now? Is everyone not real?
I'm not gonna
Everybody
lie,
wants
I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
He said that he's not a real Brazilian. Like, what? What's going on here? Can we stop with this? He's not real.
I think
that's
his
for birth certificate.
I think his thing was a little bit more like they're supporting me more than they're supporting him.
Got it.
I think that's what the angle he's taking on it. But yes, I mean, it is, a storyline that seems to be common these days about.
It's a thing.
Yeah. But I think that was his angle, was like, they love me more than they love him.
Is
You know what I mean?
Is he a big favorite going into that one?
He's going to be.
He's going to be.
Sure. I have a strong feeling minus 315 right now.
For a guy who's never fought
minus 360 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
a contender in that division. It's interesting.
What about Islam?
Minus 305.
What's Charles?
Plus 240.
Who's the better play, Costa or Charles, as far as underdog?
I don't know, man. I mean, we saw Oliveira in the same fight last year, and it didn't work out
I think
well.
Oliveira will do better this time.
I hope
Does he
so.
ultimately win? I don't know, but I think he does better. No.
I'll tell you who I'd be hesitant to play. A guy who a few weeks ago said, I'm not healthy enough to fight Islam Makhachev, and then gets into a fight with Islam Makhachev. I'll tell you who I'm not going to put my money on.
But then the
felt like
same
there was
guy
something
is
else.
also Charles Oliveira, who wins as a dog
Hey,
all the time.
if you're out there and you're into that, vaya con Dios.
I don't know,
But for
maybe-
me,
I felt like something else was going on there. It felt like some negotiation.
sure.
Costa at plus 280, like I don't know if he's going to win, but I mean, we saw Hamzat in a dogfight with Gilbert Burns. Like it could turn into something like that.
And this is 185.
Yeah, we haven't seen Hamzat
big
at
boy.
185 or no, we have.
We did, but not against Acosta.
Yeah, not against Costa.
He's a big boy. What was it? Gerald Mearshart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
A contender, a true like middleweight
Yes.
contender is like that's a step. That's a step up.
Can't wait.
Oh my gosh.
285 or 295? Leon Colby, any truth?
What is 295? MSG?
MSG.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you know 295 is MSG? I have to keep reminding myself that 291 is this weekend. Like just like the number, I associate it more with the location.
November MSG.
I mean, look, it makes all the sense in the world. Colby fighting in New York makes sense. Leon fighting in New York. I think they should put some of these British guys in New York. You know, historically in boxing, the Brits have done well here. Anyone's going to do well in New York, to be honest. But
Also, it's not bad to draft on that John Jones pay-per-view. That's
Oh my gosh, if that's the pay-per-view, you add Leon and Colby. They just announced Brunson Delice. Like they're really.
By the way, and Colby and John have a history as well.
Yeah, the press conference would be pretty
Yes.
interesting.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if John says, I don't want to be on the card with him. And John has that kind of pull.
Oh yeah.
Colby has said some pretty not so nice things about John.
Do we have a December event yet?
Well, no, but there is going to be a pay-per-view.
No, I mean like you know,
that
could be a headliner.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, they have to figure out these. There's that one, and then there's the Prochaska fight.
That's right.
So, I mean, at this point, it's Monday. 291 is on Saturday. It's very clear that Alex Pereira and Jan Blachowicz is not for the belt.
Yeah, no
So
shit.
it's just
They
going to
would've
be.
announced.
I mean, it'd be weird if they waited any
No.
longer than this.
It would be nice though if they say, "All right, this is the one. Winner of this fight is fighting Yuri in, I don't know, would Abu Dhabi be okay? Yeah, that would be 3 months from now. I feel like that's a good Abu Dhabi co-main,
Sure.
but they might need a December pay-per-view main eventer as well. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say Hamzat Costa's a pretty decent co-main as well.
Yeah, did they have 2 title fights last year in Abu Dhabi? I know they had Islam and Charles. Was there another one?
I don't recall. Wow.
I don't recall. What
I need
happened last
GC. This
weekend.
is where GC is going to come
I
in.
mean,
and
I'm
help
a
us.
main event guy, not a.
You're not a co-main guy. I know they had the 1 year with what's his face?
Yes, Aljo.
Aljo, yeah, and
Dillashaw.
TJ. Oh, yeah, it didn't really feel like.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was the free one, right? The ESPN.
Yeah, but that one had Jan and Sanhagen too.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a thing you got to have 2 title fights in Abu Dhabi.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they seem very invested in these Abu Dhabi cards.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was weird though that they announced it. They announced it like at 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, which is I think Abu Dhabi is 7 hours ahead, which is 5 a.m. Abu Dhabi time. Maybe they wanted them to wake up to it, but
Say they get to wake up. Big news. Tickets on sale.
Tickets going right on sale.
yeah,
The Etihad.
yeah. I don't know. Felt like more of a play for the East Coast, West Coast crowd than the Abu Dhabi crowd. But
Tickets.
tickets, yeah. Did they go on sale?
Yeah. I think they went on sale the next day.
Oh, okay. 3 months in advance. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, good stretch coming up. Some big news, some things in the works, whispers, rumors. Of course, the big, wondering about Connor back on track. You're still doing that thing, right? With not you, Connor, the other famous Connor in the sport, McGregor. You're still doing the tough thing, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens now? Are they shuffling the deck?
So yeah, there's going to be some reorganization of the teams. Obviously, he got his first win last week, and yeah, I don't have my notes with me, but on Tough Hang, if anybody watched, we broke it down how we think it's gonna go.
Okay, so there's 4 more fights,
Yep, we're now into the semifinals.
and the finale is Boston, or have they
Yes.
not announced that?
Yeah,
Wait,
no,
so-
well, it's very strongly believed because it just lines up perfectly, and there's still only 11 fights on that card, so adding the 2
okay.
makes sense.
Oh, there's 2 different weight
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah, bantamweight and lightweight.
Did you guys see how I convinced Aspinall?
Yeah, he sounded
to
very
fight
convinced.
Pavlovich.
Yeah, totally convinced him.
I mean, if he does, then you're just making fights for this guy.
Well, I mean,
He admitted it. He said,
I
"Look,
know, you made the Tybura fight. I'm
I'm
saying
not
if
an
you make
expert."
the Pavlovich one, then
he needs your help." He needs your help.
He said it was top of mind. It was Bisping. It was Paris. I want to work for TNT. It was everything but those two guys. You know, it was a lot going on. But the fight,
the
big
logic
one.
of that made sense, though.
Yeah.
What he was kind of laying out. But yeah, he said he
I don't
admitted
mind
it.
that idea. He's on the desk. He's doing commentaries in the nice suit, and then he jumps in the cage, rips the suit off, goes wrestling style, Paul Craig-esque, and gets right
Not
up
necessary. Sergey's the fight.
in someone's face.
And
Sergey
please, I
Spivak after he wins the UFC.
no,
Paris.
not that one. We saw that fight 2 years ago, and I know we just saw Islam and Charles a year ago, but this is different.
Not exactly the same demand
yes.
for that one.
No. But I would love to see him fight again this year, and I don't want him to be just like a backup fighter situation for New York. Because remember, Sergey has already been the backup fighter and didn't really amount to much. Oh, maybe he will amount to something, but I want to see him fight.
I mean, look, there's worse scenarios than being a backup fighter for a guy in John Jones who has fallen off of fights before. Why not? What's the loss to Tom? He doesn't have to cut weight.
I just want to see him fight again.
No, that I get. Oh, you're saying like don't put your eggs in that basket to forego a fight.
And if we're gonna do the thing where
That's
the backup fighter gets the title shot, then Sergey should get it first. Because he's already.
Yeah, I
been
mean,
the
he's
backup
already
fighter.
done it. Imagine he does it twice.
He's done it twice.
Now he gets 2 title shots. If he loses one,
Yes.
he gets a mulligan and he gets to fight
2
again.
paydays.
And how much weight do you think he's cutting?
Sergey?
Yeah, for the backup spot.
What does he usually weigh in at? I actually don't know that.
We can see right now. What was that?
He weighs in at like
286, UFC 286, right? Weigh-ins. Let's see what he weighed.
Was it the last time he fought? Wasn't him and Blades just on a straight up card
Oh, it was
together?
285. I'm just curious what he weighed in as the
backup.
Oh, it was the backup.
As the backup. Here it is. Oh wait, Pavlovich was 259. Dang.
So he's close. So he might have to cut a little bit of weight.
Yep. All right. Well, it's been a fun day.
As always.
Sure has.
But it's time to go. Has Mbappe signed with Saudi Arabia yet?
I don't think that's a done deal, but that money
It's
is
looking like his salary would be about $776 million.
This would be the biggest one-year contract in the history of sports, right? I mean, nothing would compare to this.
Almost feels like the history of anything ever.
The history of mankind.
Like it's just like a one-year deal, and you can just skate off to Madrid.
Oh, and by the way, we didn't get the update. Tell us before we go. What is going on with this X situation? What do we need to know?
Oh, yes.
I mean, there's no update. Fundamentally, nothing's changing. There's just kind of the obsession of Elon Musk with the letter X, you know?
But
like
what, so he's just changing Twitter's name to X?
Yeah.
That's it.
He's been trying to do stuff like this for a while. There's a lot of articles out here. In 1999, there was an attempt to make X.com was founded in 1999. SpaceX is his company. Model X is a model of Tesla.
So why not call it Twitter X?
His son is named X.
I like Twitter
XAI.
X.
So yeah,
What is XAI?
an AI thing that he's launching as well.
His son's name is just X.
No, it's like X Ash, like A something. Like
Doesn't
it's
he
a
have
very-
like 10 kids or something?
He's a lot of children. Yes.
Right.
I always thought it was Control Alt Delete.
That was his son's name?
Mm-hmm.
Could have been, imagine he had a son, Control, then Alt, and then Delete.
great.
So is this happening? Is this a done deal?
No, it's done. I mean, you go on Twitter right now. The logo in the top left is just an X.
You're kidding.
No, it is.
Twitter.com?
Yeah, Twitter.com.
Or
you can go to
X.com.
X.com, whichever one you think is faster.
I don't see
There
that.
with the bird.
I'm on Twitter.com right now.
Refresh it.
Twitter.com/home.
Yes.
Refresh it in the
And
left
in the
corner.
top left corner.
Wow.
There it is.
I just actually saw it refresh in front of my eyes.
Yeah, I did that earlier. I saw the refresh. I'm actually heading over to see if I can update my app right now and see if it goes to it.
By the way, it's not that nice of a logo, if I'm being
No,
honest.
it's not. I'm not gonna lie.
Is this
It
it?
feels kind of dumb.
Is this the
No,
is
I
this
think
the
this
end?
is the temporary logo.
Keep telling me how this is the end. Keep telling me how it's dead.
Twitter dies every 4 minutes on Twitter.
All this man has to do is just keep the lights on, keep the app running, and it'll. essentially
Everyone
run
keeps
itself.
saying their goodbyes. Can you spare me your goodbyes?
You're
Follow
not
me
leaving.
here because
You're
I'm
not
leaving.
leaving.
Soon
Just-
they'll be like, I'm a.
It's
X
been a good
user.
run. I'm out.
This app has crashed and burned, and I hate it, and I'm gone.
You can't escape. You guys have to have the clout. Because even if you're leaving, you're like, go follow me at XYZ.
Is Threads dead?
Oh my gosh.
It's
Yes,
not
it
dead.
is.
Literally
It's not
haven't
dead.
thought about it since the
Yes.
first week.
Look, it has
Haven't
lost.
thought about it. Haven't looked at it. I look at it as much as like any other like background app that you just don't need on your phone.
It lost a lot of momentum. They didn't have enough features to start. If they had just a feed of people you followed, I think it would have had a lot more staying power. But I think a lot of people kind of left after that because that's what they were kind of looking for as an alternative to Twitter or X. So yeah, they lost some momentum. That's for damn sure. A lot of signups and then a lot of people leaving the app.
I did just update Twitter. It's still the bird.
Mm.
The app on my phone.
Isn't it weird how Twitter like makes people so angry? I just feel like everyone's just so.
What do you mean?
If there's ever been an indication that people are addicted to Twitter, it's that like they keep going on Twitter to just proclaim how angry
vent about
Twitter
Twitter.
is making them. Like that seems like a weird thing to do. With
It seemed
something.
like they do that on all the platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't recall a platform sparking such animosity.
Probably because on like Instagram you can just post pictures and reels.
Is anyone
thing.
venting about Instagram? Is anyone venting about TikTok
No, but this
or
is like
Facebook?
this is a mini blog. Frank, you're a
Yeah.
Reddit guy. I'm assuming that people vent on there.
All the time.
You love Reddit, don't you?
I mean, I do.
I also love Reddit.
Really?
How Reddit?
How
Like
often?
half of the
I like
users.
Twitter, dude. Twitter's pretty hilarious.
Fair point, Frank.
Is that your go-to, Frank? Is it your homepage?
Yeah, that's
Don't
not
don't
my
they call it
homepage.
the homepage of the internet? I feel like that's
Yeah.
that's a
Oh,
tagline.
really? I never go on Reddit.
Yeah, I'm not as
Just
big a
one
Reddit
page.
guy.
I mean,
It's just one page.
Always brings a
one.
tear to my eye when you make the front page.
Does that happen often?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Oh, wow. Why'd you tell me?
I do, but then you don't respond, so I'm like, well,
Yeah.
Oh, here goes Frank talking about not responding.
is that actually
Yeah.
true? I don't think I've ever seen you post
That is-
anything
I
about.
sent it to him individually.
That's such nonsense. You have never texted me, and I've not
Called you in the middle of the
responded.
night, like,
Oh,
bro,
that's
you're on the front
such
page.
Craziness.
Skeptical.
Frank is now. You're doing the thing now where you're ignoring us completely, right? We have
Yes.
been
Oh, yeah.
officially muted.
I have read everything you guys said over
Sure,
the past few
That's right.
days.
We're even
But-
talking about you
What did I
in the
say
thread.
about you last night?
I missed that one.
Wow.
Wow.
Were
Were
you somehow
you know what?
referring to me but under a different name?
And I had no concern of him reading the text message because I knew
I'm gonna go look now.
he wouldn't read it.
Wow, that is amazing.
Look, my wife has been out of town. I don't want to
wow.
be caught
That's-
with like, oh, you were just on your phone the whole time.
Yeah, my wife's been out of town. What,
What have you been doing?
Excuse. What an excellent
Painting.
excuse.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anything to show? Anything you want to show
no,
us?
These are paintings I make for myself.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice. Yeah. Can't wait for the next lineup drop. Ooh.
That's very inside baseball right there. That's very inside baseball. Once we're making jokes about Slack, etiquette, it's time to go. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you very much. Frank, great job as always by you.
Ooh.
That was good. You can hear my music. Oh, yes. Tommy Aspinall. I'm going to go. No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Let's see. I'm going to go check it out. Okay. Oh, I forgot to ask GC about Barbie.
Polyespinal.
GC, Barbie?
Yeah.
Yay, nay?
Yeah, it was good. It was entertaining.
Did you notice that when I posted the lineup today, I had the Barbie
Oh, yeah.
music?
Yeah. I noticed that.
Good for kids?
I would not take your 6-year-old to go see it.
Wow.
It was a little more serious than I was expecting it to be.
But is it like inappropriate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Like for a 6-year-old, yeah, there's a few lines.
Which movie did you enjoy more?
Oppenheimer, no doubt.
Really?
Yeah.
Rick, did
Also
you
a
take your
big
daughter?
Nolan guy. No, he's off headphones. he
No one
did the
checks out
in-person
quicker.
Zoom log off.
I was gonna send you this Drake video, and get to it.
Still don't think he
This
realizes
is like us talking
we're
about
talking-
Frank in the
Yes,
text
yes,
thread.
yes. This is the exact equivalent.
Does he still not? Let's see.
No.
Does he still not know we're talking about him?
Nope. No clue. Right next to him. 3 feet away. Go
How
back
does he
to him
not
one more
hear
time.
you right
Go
now?
back to him one more time.
How does he not?
That's how close we are. That's how close we are.
That's good work by Alex. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in today. Thank you to Paul Craig. Thank you to Tom Aspinall. Thank you to Lerone Murphy. Thank you to Grayson Waller. Thanks to them. Thanks to all of you. Back on Wednesday, same time and place. Until then, I say